Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
And welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us, one and all, again, back this week for more craziness. We're on a roll of crazy. There's been a lot of, a lot of crazy, just complete lives that are all drugs and nuts and, the crazy stuff. And that's kind of Crime and Sports' sweet spot,
Yeah.
Like a murder's good or someone that does stuff like that. That's interesting, and it's a nice change of pace. But what we really want to see is someone's rather promising life turn into just a series of disasters, really, because that's where the comedy is, and that's where we are today, as a matter of fact. And it's one of the most promising people we've. This is Michael Jordan's idol, as a matter of fact, this guy.
Oh.
Put it that way. He's the guy who Michael Jordan idolized and fashioned himself after. So It tells you what kind of player he is, and we'll get into all that. But first, want to thank everybody for your reviews. Very helpful. Apple Podcast, that purple icon. Give us 5 stars, and I don't know why. Whatever. Just do it, please. What do you want from us? What kind of explanations do you want from me over here? Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com for everything, all your merch and everything like that, everything that has to do with crime and sports and small town murder. And if you're not listening to Small Town Murder, I don't know how else to convince you. It's a hilarious, crazy show about insane murders.
Oh, I should say.
What else do you want?
Fantastic. Yeah.
Last week, a guy murdered his whole family. You know what his excuse was? He thought they were aliens that have come down to harm him on his isolated hilltop weird house. That was his excuse. That's the kind.
His family was
his family, kids and everything, all aliens come to get him. They finally came for me. So there you go. Stuff like that. Listen to Small Town Murder. Check that out. Also, listen to P.S. I Hate This Movie, because I just had to watch did a watch along of the last Twilight, and my head almost exploded. So you got to suffer through that with me. Get your tickets to live shows all throughout 2022. There have been some people going, "Oh, I see you'll be here this weekend," and I'm like, "Nope, that's next year." I don't know whatever the club's websites say. All of that doesn't matter. Check out our website. That's where we know where we'll be. No matter what they say, we don't have a plane ticket to go there. We're not going there.
I got a message from somebody outside the venue. They're like, "Where are you guys at?" I'm like, "Why are you there?
What are you doing?" Yeah, so check the website before anything. Shutupandgivememurder.com for all of that. Patreon.com/crimeandsports is where you want to be for all of the very, very good stuff. The ones we just put up Saturday or Sunday were amazing. We did the Atlanta Gold Club is the Crime and Sports bonus, and that is a strip club in Atlanta where you can find out what Bill Gates, Patrick Ewing, and Madonna have in common. Nothing you'd think? Absolutely not. A lot in common.
Are you looking for the Michael Jordan of sex? She's in there.
She's in there.
Go
that's
there.
The other thing. There's a lady in there who referred to as the Michael Jordan of sex. So that's an interesting episode.
Incredible.
And then the other episode, the Small Town Murder bonus, was even crazier, and you get access to everything, obviously, if you're a patron, all the different episodes for both. But that was the big Sons of Sam conspiracy, where I read a 25-hour book of a guy who was just packed full of conspiracy theory, and it is insanity of why David Berkowitz didn't act alone and all this. And there's a couple good points, and then a lot of really crazy stuff where word association from the letters, and you have to hear it. It's absolutely insane. So Patreon.
Watching that Netflix doc, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then by the third one, I was like, the fuck am I talking about?
What is he talking about? Yeah. You take 2 things and you go, that makes sense. Then when you try to make it 10 things, it just doesn't stretch that far. It just doesn't go. And we have all of that in there. It's a lot of literally a 25 25-hour book I read for a bonus episode, so you might want to check that out. Do that. Patreon.com/crimeinsports. Plus, you'll be a producer. Jimmie will mispronounce your name at the end of the show.
Oh, yeah.
And because we love you. And if you just want to be a producer and have great karma and our undying affection, you could head over to PayPal and use our email address, crimeinsports@gmail.com. That said, let's do this. We have a lot of show here, so let's get into this right away with David O'Neill Thompson.
Oh, yeah.
You know David Thompson?
Yeah, the NASCAR driver.
Yes, exactly. Michael Jordan's idol, the NASCAR driver. Michael Jordan was like, I want to dunk, but I'm going to do
himself after his career.
I'm going to do it fast like that NASCAR driver.
Felt so familiar.
Like that guy who sits for 4 hours. I'm going to jump and soar. So David Thompson, his nickname, and he is one of the first guys kind of in basketball to get this, like he flies. His nickname is the Skywalker. That's what they called him. They called him that Star Wars. Yeah, pre-Luke. He's the original Skywalker. Not fascinating. Yeah, maybe Luke was named after him. I'm not sure. But he's 6'4". He's exactly my size. He's 6'4", 195. Like
hilarious. We
could trade clothes and it'd be perfect. We would just, oh, this is great. Oh, wow, look at you. We'd be so excited. Except he has a 44-inch vertical jump, which I lack.
My God.
Yeah, that's insanity. So he's just flies through the air, can do anything aerial, and he has great hang time. And, he's a guy, like I said, Michael Jordan fashioned himself after him. So that tells you a lot about him. He is born July 13th, 1954. And he grows up in Shelby, North Carolina. And it's about 40 miles west of Charlotte. So that's out there in the country.
Yeah.
And poor doesn't begin to describe his beginnings. He is as poor as anybody we've talked about.
Sure.
We've talked about, people, whether they had
sharecroppers.
We've had a couple of times sharecroppers. Eddie Johnson was a sharecropping family, and then Oil Can Boyd came from a very poor environment, and
Toe Nash was not rich.
Toe Nash had no floor.
Right.
Tommy Morrison,
floors.
I want to say, had dirt floors, and this guy very similar here. He's the youngest of 11 children.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're the youngest of 11 kids, I mean, you're
in rural North Carolina.
Remember on The Wire when Wallace was trying to take care of his brothers and sisters and shit, and he was like ushering them out the door and giving them like a juice box and a bag of chips. And then when they got to the last two little ones, and there was only one juice box and one bag of chips left, he was like, y'all are going to have to share. And he gave it to him and pushed him out the door, because it's like you just get shit on when you're the littlest one.
That's where it is. Yeah.
So 11 kids, and he's the youngest. Grows up in a house that lacked indoor plumbing. So that's what we're talking. And he's born in 54. So this isn't like, the 20s. In the 60s, in the 50s and 60s, most people had plumbing.
Right.
Very rare that you see the episode of I Love Lucy where Ricky's in the middle of an argument with Lucy and he says, "You can't come to the club and perform. Hold on, Lucy, I got to go outside and take a dump." And he grabs his newspaper and walks out. I don't remember that episode. Very rare. I never watched the Andy Griffith Show, but I know it's in a rural area, but I don't think they had an outhouse. Maybe I think they probably shit inside still.
I don't think it was called My Three Sons Fighting Over the Shitter.
Fighting over the outdoor shitter.
Fighting out in the outdoor shit house.
Dick Van Dyke Shits in a Hole show. That would have been a different kind of show.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see that show.
I'd watch it.
Mary Tyler Moore heading out there with a Good Housekeeping magazine under her arm. That would be something.
Yeah.
And, he grows up there. Very, very tough going we're talking about here. No indoor plumbing. His house was along a path that's on a dead-end road, and it's just in the woods out there with no indoor plumbing and not much infrastructure, we'll say. The infrastructure in this home is lacking, for the third time to say lacking, but it's lacking hard. He had behind his house, though, they made a basketball court. Great. His older brothers and one of his brothers or sisters put it together here. Didn't go to like Sears back in the day and pick up the backboard rim package and put it together. You had to string the little net on the things.
Right.
No. The rims were bicycle wheel bicycle wheels with the spokes taken out. That's what they made.
Genius.
It's absolutely genius, right? That's terrific.
I would have never thought about that.
Shit, no. It would have been like, my bike's broken and I can't play basketball. That's what I would have said.
We had one of those metal crates that had a plastic bottom, and we just kicked the plastic bottom out of it and then stapled the metal frame to the house. So we had a basketball square.
That's hot shit. I was lucky growing up in New York. There's a lot. Every park has basketball hoops, and even in like the village of Wappingers where I grew up, there's like 4 parks with basketball hoops. You could always walk to a park and they were shit basketball hoops with no nets on them, or worse, the chain nets so you can slice the shit out of your hands. Yeah. Those are fun. Those are really fun. I love that. You reach up and grab that, and you're like, ha, 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 ha.
Or when it gets tangled and then the ball gets stuck in there. Who's jumping to hit it? Somebody go. Shit. Sacrifice a finger.
Let's go. Someone's going to bleed here. Let's get it on.
The rim's already, the net's already fucked, and there's something sharp in there because it's stuck. It's stuck together.
So it's twisted, and there's a sharp piece of metal somewhere. And scary stuff here. So they play. Oh, and the floor of it. And this sounds like, I swear to God, and I'm not kidding. This is not I hate this now because 2 times I've made up a childhood on somebody, but this sounds like a Bernard Below, horse shit, wooden clogs, and a tulip racket going on. But this was literally a court with the rims made out of bicycle rims, and the floor of it is red clay.
Oh, my.
So a little bit slippery is what we're getting at. Yeah, they said running and sliding on that stuff is how he got such strong legs, one of his friends said.
Either that or torn hammies, yeah.
One or the other. You're going to blow all of your everything out, or you're going to get the strongest legs ever if it can last. So that's what happened. His cousin, Alvin, said, quote, "No nets or anything. We'd go out and play all day after church." That's all they would do, apparently, is play all day. By the time he's in the 8th grade, he could dunk a basketball for the first time. He was only 5'8".
Wow.
That's the thing. He didn't hit his growth spurt yet, but he could jump.
Oh, my.
He could jump so high that he could dunk when he was 5'8".
5'8", unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, Spud Webb was 5'8", and he could dunk. Was he 5'8" or 5'6"?
5'7".
5'7". There we go. Right in the middle of that.
Yeah.
We'll split the difference with you.
Yeah. Still, that's like you soaring through the air dunking.
I'm 5'8".
If
James,
I saw you dunk, yeah, okay. I saw
the amount
you
you got to jump.
Yeah. There's a lot of space between your hand and the rim if you extend your arm up. It's just a long way.
3.5 feet.
It's a long way. You got to look at it and go, oof, boy, I don't know if I can get that high.
And then to get up there is one thing. Then your knees got to deal with you coming down.
Yeah, then you got to land on your ankles and your knees. He also wore ankle weights when he played all the time, so he would and worked he worked on different jumping regimens. He would actively work on his jumping and his leaping to try to get higher and higher and make little goals of reaching this, and he'd use ankle weights when he did stuff so he felt lighter, like a donut on a bat. He by the 10th grade he could stand, flat-footed in front of the basket, jump up and touch his elbow to the rim.
Get out of here.
He was doing that whenever he wanted to. He said that it was rough growing up where he was from because he was from out in the country. And it's weird. I've been to North Carolina where my dad lived. I've told you guys that before. And there's areas, if you're outside of the city, there's areas that are pretty segregated. Not like by law or anything, just if they're not the places that white people live or black people live. It's just it's the way it is. It's a weird thing. So the country is strange because there's little areas of different. There's there'll be all white people here. Then there'll be some black people out in the country as well, which is strange. So it's a really weird thing. So sometimes the rural. There's problems out there sometimes because of this sort of thing. And he said, quote, "It was very difficult. People would call you names and throw rocks at your house." And in an interview, they said, "Why would people throw rocks at your house?" And he said, "Just because you're black living out in the country."
Yeah, but sometimes there's just not enough rocks.
So he was, he was like, I don't know how many rocks you're going to throw, what good that's going to do for anybody. So he
Jenny and Forrest, too.
What happened?
You don't remember that part in Forrest Gump?
No. Oh, then they threw rocks at him?
Jenny threw rocks at her old house.
Oh, that's right.
And then
Jesus
she broke
Christ.
down in the middle of the mud in her dress.
That's right.
Forrest said, sometimes there ain't enough rocks.
That's okay. Okay, I had no idea what you were talking about. And I thought,
apologies.
I figured it was a reference to something, and I'm like, was that? Honestly, I thought it was a reference to one of our shows that I didn't remember, and I'm like, oh God, what did I forget here?
No, it's the B-side of Forrest Gump, where people usually stop watching.
And I was hoping you weren't saying like, so many black people, just not enough rocks for him. And I was like, what the hell are you doing, Jimmie? Like, I was like, are you losing your fucking mind? But you had you had such a friendly look on your face, and I'm like, that can't be what he means. I'm like, you look so happy with yourself. I was like, what are you, fucking Himmler? What's going on here? But then I realized that
that can't be. Did Jimmie just come out as like an unbelievable racist?
Yeah, like not even just like, come on, I don't want one marrying my daughter. You were like, which is still ridiculous, but you were like, not enough rocks for all of them out there, I'll tell you what. One thing, there ain't in this world enough rocks for all the goddamn black people in North Carolina. I was really going to be like, whoa.
Oh, God, Jesus.
That is stunning.
Sorry.
Stunning, Jimmie. But it makes way more sense that it's Jenny from Forrest Gump, which couldn't be like more of an opposite
right
thing.
They were throwing rocks at a child molester.
Yeah, it's totally different. Warranted rocks.
Yes.
So they asked him if his school was integrated, and he said it wasn't integrated until high school. He said, I went to segregated school called Green Bethel in Boiling Springs, North Carolina. Jesus, that sounds hot. Through the 8th grade. And then I went to Crest High, which was integrated, probably 70% white, 30% black. He said, though, quote, I had grown up Christian, taught to love your neighbor as yourself and treat everyone the way you want to be treated. I was friends with all the different races on our basketball team, and I think that helped make the transition of desegregation in Crest a lot easier. It's not because the athletes all got along, so that was a... if the kids all go to the games and they see all, the black kids and the white kids high-fiving, then they go, oh, all right, well, that's good. If they work together, they won a game. Look at that. Yeah, Otherwise, I don't know if that would help, but I think so. I'm not a fucking expert, but no. He's the youngest of 11 children, like we said. His father drove a truck and also served as a deacon in the Maple Springs Baptist Church for pretty much David's whole life, and so they're very religious. And he got into basketball at 5, and pretty much got into it like nothing else. Like I said, he was doing jumping exercises with ankle weights on. So right. I mean, this is all he cared about, basically. It was
unbelievable.
He'd go to school, he'd go to church, and in between that, it was all basketball all the time. He worked very hard. They said he never had any kind of arrogance or anything. He was just like head down. That's the thing. He's a real quiet, like workman-like guy. He's not at all like a flashy kind of guy. You would think if you're jumping over people's heads, even if you're not a flashy person, it would turn you into one. Just to be like, I just jumped over a motherfucker. Yeah, that's just because how good that feels.
When nobody else can do that, that's pretty. Yeah. You'd feel like humility might go out the window pretty quick.
Especially as a kid, but for him, everybody said that it wasn't like that at all. His high school coach, Ed Peeler, said David never opened his mouth on the court. He never showed a temper or argued with the referee. He was a very coachable and unselfish player. I think people liked that. Well, yeah, sure. Why wouldn't they? He's a real nice guy and he's a great player. That fucking asshole. Be a weird thing. Be a really weird thing to say. He's got good grades
does
too.
Well right.
Jesus Christ! And he helps old ladies at the center. What a dick!
Piece of shit.
What a piece of shit. He also said that David in particular helped integration a lot in the school. He said, I think David helped soothe the transition because David's 9th grade year, his first year in high school, was the first year of integration in the school. Okay. So it was, rocky to say the least. He said he and that group of athletes, it was an integrated team and David was the star. So everybody took to him, and it was hard to be racist while you're cheering for David as he dunks on people. Right. So he said that there was times the coach was concerned about him because he said that he thought David, you never heard this from a coach before, he thought he might be too dedicated to basketball. And he actually advised David to get outside interests, which you'll never hear.
No.
Everything you've ever heard of a coach is he told me to dump my girlfriend and to, stop hanging out with everybody. This guy was like, have you thought of maybe model airplanes possibly?
Right.
Or like, have you tried fishing? You need to stop.
My coach told me I need to get away from my parents and church. It was very strange.
Very weird. Yeah, that's what they usually do, though. And he said, though, quote, I never saw David take any other interest except basketball. He was just constantly playing. You've got to do something else to make your life more meaningful.
Sure.
Yeah, if your coach tells you that is like, wow, you're really in another. You have like that thing that was it body dysmorphia when people look in the mirror and see something completely different than actually exists in front of them. You weigh like 140 pounds and you're like, you fat motherfucker, I hate you, and then you go run 12 miles or something.
Yeah, until you vomit up nothing.
Yeah, that's scary. That's a real thing that people go through. That sucks. So he said, though, that late in his senior year, he's being heavily recruited by every college in the country. I mean, he's a huge star, and he ends up committing to North Carolina State, and eventually because he wants to stay around his home, and which is a big get for NC State. Obviously, they get the hometown guy. And he said, though, even after he committed, the coach said he still continued to talk to other schools, which he thought was weird. And he said, his coach said, quote, that's the biggest part of his problem. David just wanted to please everybody.
That's a big problem.
It's a big problem. He felt bad telling them he already committed to somebody. So he'd be like, oh, okay, I'll talk to you. And it was, pointless.
I've got a little bit of that, too. I feel bad sometimes.
Yeah, I've seen it in action where I'm like, Jimmie, we have to go now.
But look, there's another person.
Yeah, I'm like, I get it. I like everybody, but you can't. At some point, there's a plane to catch. We have to leave. We have to leave. It's this isn't a question of want to or need to, but have to.
I try so hard to give everybody what they want.
I know. I do too. I feel, you see, I'm the same way. I feel, I want to talk to everybody, especially like if we're at a live show we're talking about. People have come to see us. Mm-hmm. We don't want anybody to be like, I went all the way there to fucking see them, and then they didn't even. That's shitty. I wouldn't want people doing that to me. I like a thing and I go all the way there and I have a thing that says I'm going to talk to them, and then what? They're just going to walk away? No, it's not how we are. And and we end up wanting to talk to everybody. We go outside and we talk to 100 more fucking people outside, and we smoke weed with them, and we drink booze with them, and we hang out with them, and because we like people and we want to hang out. But you really, at some point, you have to go, okay, I'm seriously going to have to reschedule a plane ticket if I don't leave now.
And to this point, too, if we were booked, let's say a city has a place called Go Bananas, another place called Helium. I'm sure there is one, but whatever. The point is, whichever one we're booked at, if the management of the other place wanted to talk to me, I'd want to go talk to them and be like, I'm so sorry we weren't here this weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas I feel terrible.
In business, I don't care. I'm like, fuck those people. I don't care.
Call our agent.
Yeah, because I'm one of those where I'm like, they're talking to us because we're selling tickets. If we stop selling tickets, they won't want to talk to us. If we keep selling tickets, we could piss in their face and they'll still talk to us. So it doesn't fucking matter. That's all there is to it. It's all what we do. Concentrate on the listeners and what they like, and fuck all these people.
You could put a flaming bag of dog shit on their property that says, with love, James and Jimmie. They'd be like, that was so sweet.
That's hilarious.
Thoughtful. I'm just thankful to get it.
Hilarious. Isn't that funny? But if we didn't sell tickets, they'd be like, calling the cops. That's the thing. If you sell tickets, flaming bag of dog shit turns into hilarious from anybody. It's interesting.
There's money involved.
Yeah. That's why we always say thank you, and we act like we appreciate all the listeners a lot, because we do appreciate the listeners. Because you in this business, the listeners are they look at you like currency, like they have this many gold coins, and it's that many listeners. Like that's how they look.
We have this many credits every week because of you guys. So thank you.
So thank you very much. That way we don't have to talk to people we don't want to. Not you guys. That's why we talk to you guys, but we don't have to talk to some club who also wants to book us. We're like, go fuck yourself. We'll talk to you.
We don't have to romance them.
Exactly. We'll rather romance you.
Right.
Okay. Anyway. So
this is going off the rails. I apologize.
A little bit. So a friend of his remembers a pickup game they played. He said that was the day where he became a legend. He said, quote, "I was there the day his reputation was made." He said Thompson was 14 and he had been to a basketball camp. And his friend said he used one of his patented head and shoulder fakes, which he must have learned in camp. He got by me, but I didn't worry because my brother Larry jumped out. Larry was 6'8", and David went over him like he was James Worthy. I mean, he carried him. He pickled the beast. He just jumped over him. Yeah. And he said David was about 6'2" at that point. And he said people jumped up and went, wow, nobody who was there will ever forget it. So that was the first and one mixtape moment where everybody jumped out of their seats and went, oh, shit! Fucking walked home and came back. That's the first time that ever happened in history.
Yeah, someone slapped their mom.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
You see that shit, Mom?
Oh, shit. That was... First time. I mean, it happens. This is in awesome. 1968. So it's a you'd see it on like sped up 16 millimeter film if you if you had it with White Rabbit playing over it.
Slap, both would be cooler.
Both of them. So he said, quote, because they asked him about like his jumping ability in this interview, and he said, if you put a quarter on the top of the backboard, I could get up there high enough to tip it off. Top of the backboard. But the part people say about me also leaving 2 dimes and a nickel up there and making change for the quarter, that's not true. Because that's what people would say. He'd put it up, but he said that's not true. He doesn't make change.
I can knock the quarter down, but
I can tip the quarter. He said he had a lot of friendship with a lot of the guys on his teams, on his teammates. He said both black and white. He said that was important to him. He said, I was just being myself. I was taught not to be prejudiced. Which I guess that worked out well for him too. Mm-hmm. He also the press was just eating him alive. They in a good way, eating him up with a spoon, loving him, fluff pieces everywhere because he's a hometown. He's a home kid, North Carolina kid going to NC State. So they're pumping him up, making him this messiah. One article said this is Charlotte Observer columnist Kays Gary. Said, quote, a quick intelligence, a certain princely manner fleshed with fellowed warmth. So, I mean, this is like, they're writing biblical prose about him, like of his, speak of his hair like a lamb's, it's pretty soon it's getting... So
begotten son and all that shit.
All that type of shit on a red clay court. So, he said, quote, his friend said, I think it's something he had trouble dealing with, all of the, attention. He said, I'm not so sure it didn't contribute to his problems. And his problems start in high school when he starts drinking a little bit.
Yeah.
He went on a recruiting trip to Columbia, South Carolina, and there were some players and, more importantly, some girls there. Yeah. And they were all at a lake house drinking wine.
All right.
So if you're 17...
Yeah.
And you're on a recruiting trip, and they're all going, you're great, and we want you so bad. And there's a bunch of girls there, older girls, too. 19-year-old girls, 20-year-old girls, and they're all drinking wine and being like, hey, let's hang out and get loose and drink wine. In a lake house, you're like, I'm going to fuck all these girls. That's what you think when you're 17. I wonder if I can fuck all of them. Not right now, but not at the same time, maybe. But like over the course of this a couple of days, I think I might be able to do this. They all seem to like me. You're so crazy at 17. That's the type of shit you would think.
Hell yeah.
And he started drinking wine like crazy. And he said, quote, I got really sick. I told my parents I had the flu, and it was a while before I wanted to drink again after that. No. If you're 17, a bad wine hangover is really going to put you out of the game for a while. Yeah. That's a pro's hangover there.
A wine hangover is a different hangover, too, because it makes you so sleepy.
Yeah, it's a pro hangover. You need to know how to deal with a hangover to deal with
booze
wine.
And beer is like it's just I gotta sit. I can't do anything. But wine is like, I need to shut my eyes.
Beer, you're like, my head hurts. I've been shitting my brains out. I don't know what's going on here because I had so much liquid pumping through my body. But wine wine's a different story. Wine, you're like, I need to sleep. I'm just going to sleep for a while.
The other ones are like actual like rotted food, whereas wine's just like rotted grapes. You know what I mean?
Fruit, at least.
It just makes you sleepy and groggy. The other ones are like, it's gross. It's a gross feeling. Yeah.
So anyway, like I said, 6'4", 195 at this point when he goes to college. He goes to NC State. NC State in 71-72, he's on the freshman team, not the regular team. Instead of redshirting and just sitting, they play him on the freshman team. He's only 17 when he goes to college.
Awesome.
So they're thinking, he needs some seasoning. And I think they rethink that after they see his stats, because in 16 games here, he scores, this is real, Jimmy, 35.6 points a game.
Per game, and 13.6 rebounds per game.
Rebounds at 6'4", 35 and 13 he's putting up.
He's putting us a double-double in college.
A double and 35 points. A double-double is not giving that enough credence. And 35.6, round up, it's 36 points and 14 rebounds a game, essentially. So that's silly. That's Wilt Chamberlain type of numbers. Right. That's crazy as a 6'4" guy. So 72-73, he's on the actual team here, but there's a problem. We'll get to that in a second. He basically he names an alley-oop the alley-oop.
What?
Yeah, in college there's a no dunking rule back then. You weren't allowed to dunk. It was the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, that's the Lou Alcindor at the time, the Lou Alcindor rule it's called, because when Kareem was in college, he just dunking on people left and right, and they couldn't keep up with him, and UCLA wins every single year, so they made a rule in like 67 saying no dunking allowed. So that's how, I think that's where the skyhook came from, by the way, because there was no dunking. But they ended up, you'd go up and you couldn't like go in the cylinder basically with your hands. That was the rule. So he said, well, just throw me the ball up there and I'll just put it in there. Just toss it to me way over everybody. I'll just jump up and get it and throw it in the hoop. So it's an alley-oop.
So you would just tap it in? Is that what it would?
An alley-oop.
He couldn't dunk still, right?
Yeah, he said it took a lot of body control to catch it up there and not just use your momentum coming down and dunk, but actually to like hang up there for a second and put it in basically. Yeah. So that takes a lot of hang time and body control to do that, and he could do it. So that's what they were doing. And nobody else really had athletes that were doing that at the time. People who were jumping and hanging in the air that long to be able to do it. So the dunking was for 7'2" guys generally. I mean, other guys did it, but the rule was to stop really tall guys from just dunking over everybody. Whereas, I think if you're 6'4" and you can jump over people, you should be allowed to do whatever the fuck you want. If you had to get that high in the air, 44-inch vertical jump, it's that's pretty impressive. So
also, if you have to be over 7 feet for the rest of your life, that's not you didn't do that. You know what I mean? You should be able to dunk because you're probably going to die younger than all of us.
That's another thing. Well, the rim's 10 feet no matter what. It's not my fault I'm taller. What are you supposed to do? Raise it up a foot when I touch the ball? The rim goes up a foot? No, it's not fair.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
So they get in trouble because of David and a couple other things at NC State here. And the infractions are really, really, really silly. They're extra stupid. Thompson had planned to attend freshman orientation at NC State on this trip. However, the orientation for his school, engineering, was not scheduled at the time. He was lodged in a campus dormitory for up to 4 nights, playing in a pickup game during his stay, which involved coaches and shit like that. So they called that basically a violation because they flew him in. Okay. There was no he said it was for freshman orientation, quote unquote, but there was no freshman orientation for engineering, which is what his major is, going on. So instead, they flew him there, and basically he played in some pickup games for some assistant coaches. So they're calling that a recruiting violation.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Another incident, they flew in, another player was flown to Raleigh by a state alumnus, but the airplane's engine developed trouble, and so there's a 48-hour limit on how long a prospect may be on campus, and they phoned the commissioner and asked if he could be given a commercial plane ticket to fly home. They gave permission, so that's their thing, and they're saying you bought him a commercial plane ticket. You're not allowed to do that. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. So it's very, very silly, but an official with the NC State here said that, quote, things don't look too good for us with an NCAA commission looking this over. And that year, they go 27-0. Undefeated in basketball.
Must be great.
With David on the team. 27-0, and they're not allowed to go to the tournament. Suspended from the tournament. Because of a couple of fucking airline tickets and shit like that.
And exhibition games. Games that don't matter. Right.
Yeah, sure. Well, he didn't even play. It was in pickup games. They were basically just evaluating him, I think, when he came there. Boy. Just silly shit. So they don't get to go to the tourney. 27-0. They go for nothing, essentially, which that really sucks, I think. David that year, he plays in 27 games, averages as basically a freshman, essentially, in varsity here. 27.4 points a game. Or I'm sorry, 24.7 points a game.
Even still.
And 8.1 rebounds. Ridiculous for a 6'4" sophomore. Silly numbers. Yeah. He's the 72-73 ACC Player of the Year, 72-73 All-ACC First Team, 72-73 Consensus All-American, and also First Team All-ACC Tournament this year.
Best player in the country.
Yeah, 18 years old.
Wow.
By the way, 18. He's ridiculous. Now you can see why Michael Jordan idolized him.
Yeah.
And he even said,
North Carolina.
That's what I mean, where he was growing up. So he was watching this stuff, and he even said, this guy created the alley-oop, man. I mean, he's the guy. So
wait till he sees my shoes.
Wait till he sees. By the way, David's got some shoes.
Really?
Yeah, I'll show them to you. I got a new. I found an ad for him. I'm like, oh my god, look at these things from like '82. Awesome. Things changed a lot from there to '85 when the Jordans came out. So another thing he got into was parties. He is beloved. I mean, he's a star. Yeah. And he is a good-looking dude with a big ear-to-ear smile and just a, happy guy who is friendly to everybody. He's a, amazing player. There's nothing to not like about him. So, I mean, everybody wants to hang out with him. He's a beloved guy. He goes to frat houses and, drinks beer every night.
Yeah.
He's just, he's 18. That's not going to really hurt you at that age.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah. He said he never thought it was really that much of a problem until one night in his sophomore year here, he is driving home from a party and driving down he said he's driving too fast down a winding back road that leads to his dorm.
Yeah.
And he said his tape deck, oh, nice. He's got the Isley Brothers and Stevie Wonder playing.
Fuck, yeah.
Good for him. Hell yeah. He's got the fucking tunes going.
He's got good taste.
He's feeling good, man. You don't drive drunk, but if you were on like a closed track that was all padded, if you could drive shit-faced super fast with that on the radio, you'd feel so fucking good. You'd feel like you were floating, like, yeah. Problem is, when you feel that good, and he said he felt so relaxed from all that drinking and everything else, that when he saw an oncoming car that he thought was crossing the center line, he swerved to avoid collision and caught his wheels on some loose pavement on the side, slid off, and slammed his car into a tree.
Oh, no.
That's why you don't drive drunk, because that happens.
It's a goddamn tree.
So he hit a tree. Physically, he's fine because he's, 18 years old and feeling great. He said, quote, "I don't really remember it too clearly after that, but somehow I walked back to my dorm and reported a stolen car. I knew if I didn't, I'd be charged with a DUI."
Yeah.
So he stumbled back and was like, "Hello? Police? Somebody totally stole my car. It's gone. No, I don't know where it is. That's the problem.
I have no idea. Check all oak trees.
It's trees and poles. I don't know. Just check around. We'll see." So,
I bet the guy driving it's shit-faced.
Oh, he's rat, man. So he said, that's what was going on with him. So that's a little dent in his armor, you know what I mean? But I mean, that's a dumb shit kid thing to do, especially it's not, excusing it, but it's also, he didn't kill anybody, luckily. He barely. Seemed like there's another drunk on the road swerving into him. He swerved away. It's not great. So, but that's on the horizon. He's doing that as well. He's not just going home and reading the Bible at night. So 73-74 Wolfpack, they go 30-1, this team. 30-1. That is obscene.
It's a stunning win percentage.
That's 57-1 in the 2 years he's been there.
He is literally known defeat one time in his life.
57-1.
2 if you count the tree. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I'd give the tree the win on that one. He's going to take the L on the tree. Yeah.
Credit the tree. That's a big win.
Pontiac Grand Prix 0, tree 1. That's what he was driving.
So he's got 2 losses. It's amazing.
That's crazy. So this year, they beat Providence 92-78. This is in the tourney. Then they pound the shit out of Pittsburgh 100-72.
Holy.
They beat UCLA, who's won, I think they won 7 years in a row up to that point. Right. This is, they're the dynasty. This is the game they're supposed to lose. They actually beat UCLA 80-77 that year. And,
barely, but they get it done.
It's a big upset. It's a huge deal. It's they pretty much hand NC State the tournament at that point. But they actually go to the final and they beat Marquette 76-64 in the final, and they win the national championship.
Wow,
which is pretty goddamn exciting. They're 57-1 while he's there. He won a national. He's a junior. He's 19 right now. How would that not go to your head? I mean,
how do you not just be on top of the world? Truly,
honestly, dude, how do you not answer everybody with like a wink and a finger gun?
Right?
Like, yeah, that's right. That's anybody. I'm talking a judge that wants to put you in jail. What's up, Chief? Anybody, your head would be swollen. I would have been a nightmare if I had any success at 19 years old. I know I would have. I don't know.
I would have probably transferred it like, you should feel so special right now. You have my attention. Mine. Jimmie Whisman's attention. You have it right now. Isn't that amazing?
That amazing? Aren't you? I know. You should. I know what you're feeling, and you should feel it. It's understandable. It's understandable. You feel pretty overwhelmed. I get it.
Yeah.
But you know what? Listen, I put my pants on one leg at a time. They're nicer pants than yours, but I put them on one leg at a time still. Sure, I put them on and I cover up my much better dick than yours that's been in a higher class of pussy lately than you've ever been in as well. But still.
Let me ask you something. You ever been in a lake house full of chicks? Never. But look,
quote,
you have my attention.
You? Yeah. Ever have chicks with booze recruiting you to do anything? Didn't think so. Didn't think so, sir.
And you have my attention. How about that?
You have you have my attention. Remarkable, isn't it? Wow, you're so lucky. Oh, you're going to remember this. Okay, what did you want to tell me now?
You're going to remember this.
You can't give a 19-year-old this kind of...
No, choose your next words more carefully, because you're going to remember this forever.
The limited people that like us at this point, we've gone through enough to where we had to hate ourselves before we could get that to where we're like, oh, don't worry, you'll hate us soon enough. We're not like, oh, you're lucky.
Time.
You're lucky. We're like, oh, Jesus, it's coming. You're going to hate us soon. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Give us time. But anyway, this year in this national championship year, he plays in 31 games, which is all the games. He 26 points and 7.9 rebounds per game. So domination.
Yeah.
People just didn't score like that in college.
No.
It's just hard. And national
today,
champions,
even still, it's hard.
Oh, it's really hard. He's the 73-74 ACC Player of the Year on the ACC first team. He's the 73-74 Associated Press Player of the Year, the 73-74 Helms Foundation Player of the Year. He's a consensus first-team All-American, all ACC first-team tournament, all NCAA all-tournament team, the NCAA all-tournament regional, and the NCAA tournament most outstanding player.
And he will be in the draft now, correct?
And no, he's got to stay. Back then, you could remember you had to play out your eligibility, but back then there was that hardship clause you could apply for. Remember, like Tom Payne applied for it.
Right.
But he stays in. He could have been, whatever, but he stays.
Let's say 11 other kids. Let me go to the NBA.
Holy shit! Look at
my
me.
family is starving.
They are. Jesus, right? Yeah, we had basketball rim hoops.
Right.
For the love of fuck.
You ever shot baskets through a Schwinn wheel? No.
No.
I need the NBA.
He was the youngest, so by this point, I don't know how many of the kids the parents were supporting anymore, Excellent so they might have been doing better. I don't know.
He's got a brother on AARP at this point.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's got a brother like, I'm about to retire from the factory. It's been there 27 years. So this year they go 22-6, so not quite as good. Now this year also, basically he decides to break the no dunking rule in his last home game.
Yeah,
ever. Okay, it's March 1st, 1975. It's senior day. And they're saying obviously goodbye to all the seniors and all this type of shit. And he's a big hero there. And prior to the game, they retire his jersey. It's the only jersey in the history of the school retired of their basketball. Cool. I think it still is the only jersey retired in their basketball program, if I'm not mistaken. But they retire his jersey. Huge ceremony. I think it's still the only one to have it ever retired from official use. They have a couple other that are honored ones, but his no one can wear 44 at NC State playing basketball. So cool. Actually retired. So they ended up they're playing UNC Charlotte that year, but they build up a 20-point lead in the second half. So with 3:39 remaining, he says, "Fuck it, who cares? We're up, we're gonna win." So he gets a length of the court pass, and he ends up and dunks the shit out of the ball. And it was a big deal. The crowd went batshit for it.
Yeah.
He said, quote, "I got a technical foul and a standing ovation at the same time." Coach Sloan took me out of the game right after that. It was a great way to end my career at NC State. So
yes.
That was his exclamation point. Dunk it. Fuck you, people. That year, he played in 28 games, 29.9 points per game. So 30 points a game this guy is averaging.
Sick.
And 8.2 rebounds at 6'4".
Right.
So you obviously want him. He's the ACC Player of the Year, first team AP Player of the Year. Every Player of the Year, the Naismith Award, the Rupp Trophy, the UPI Player of the Year, Sporting News Player of the Year, USBWA Player of the Year. I think that's the Women's Association. Even they're honoring him as Player of the Year.
Like, you know what? Giving him their award.
You're so good, we don't even care. I think he won PGA Golfer of the Year somehow. They gave him a green jacket. He won the Masters.
IBM Top Sellers Award.
I think he did. He won the steak knives from Glengarry Glen Ross. He won those somehow. We don't know how that happened. It's very
all the Tupperware sales awards and everything.
It's wild, yeah. Mary Kay. He was the champion national Mary Kay salesman. He got the pink Cadillac. He doesn't even know how it happened. Got the Pulitzer Prize. He's doing great this year. So he wins every fucking award there is. Fluff pieces abound about this guy. Every paper in the country. They said, quote, one writer said, quote, "There's always been a sensitivity about him, a mark of infinite gentlemanly grace that has produced a genuine hero for us at a hero-thirsting time." Literally, he's the...
Did you just say grace?
Not yet, but wait, there's an article about him. I swear to God.
Did they just say grace?
They said he has grace, an infinite gentlemanly grace. So it's not grace yet because he still is full of it at this point.
He has gentlemanly grace.
They're building his grace. The paper did this for me on this one because there's another newspaper later on.
Okay.
They're saying it's the mid-'70s. There's no heroes anymore. He's a hero in a time without heroes is what they're saying. That's what they're making him, like he's He-Man, which is hard for a 20-year-old to live up to. So the 75 NBA draft, Jimmie, number 1 pick overall, 75 NBA draft. Yeah.
That was definitely Lou Alcindor.
That was like 2 years before, but 3-4 years before. But it is David Thompson, number 1.
Is that right?
Overall draft. I think he's our first number 1 overall draft pick on the show. Second.
Yeah.
Who else
Ryan
was?
Leaf.
He was second. overall.
Wait, Ryan Leaf was second?
Peyton Manning got picked first.
Yeah, you're right.
He was a number 2 overall.
This is number 1 then.
I think this might be our first number 1 overall. This, it's a lot. Darryl Dawkins goes number 5 to Philly. So,
holy shit!
It's a pretty cool draft here. Yeah, not too shabby. Also, he's happy. He's thrilled as shit. Number 1 overall.
Yeah.
He said, quote, "It's a great thrill to be the first player picked. As to where my future lies, I have to wait until after the ABA draft. As we remember, the ABA is still going on.
Right.
You get bidding wars. You get a lot more money, and then weigh all matters as to what team or league I'll be playing in." So he's really sounds like he's sounds like his own attorney. There. It's impressive. He said, "I'm happy that Atlanta drafted me, but I just enjoy basketball and will be happy playing anywhere." Oh, he's playing real aloof. Good for him. Hard to get. So that year, 75 ABA draft comes around, and the number 1 pick is the Denver Nuggets. They pick Marvin Webster, who was the number 3 pick in the NBA draft. And the Squires are number 2, the Virginia Squires, which would be because the ABA had a regional thing where you had to pick from your region. So
really?
Yeah, his rights belong to the Squires, and David Thompson is picked by the Squires. Okay. But he won't sign with the Squires, so they end up failing to sign him. They don't have the money to sign him or something. So at that point, the Nuggets end up coming in and basically courting him because he can pick which league to sign with and do whatever he wants. So, they end up wanting to sign him. So they end up signing him to a $400,000 a year contract for 2 years.
What a deal! Out of there,
the Denver Nuggets do, and he decides he will play in the ABA. And they said when they brought him in to do a recruiting visit, basically. Sure. I don't know if they gave him a lake house and some wine and some girls or not, but
not a lot of lakes in Colorado.
No, they said he went batshit when they brought him in. The crowd gave him a standing ovation because they wanted him there. And the guy, this is David, what the hell's his name? David, Carl Scheer. Carl Scheer. Okay. He's the guy who signs him to this. Later on, he'll be an executive with the Hornets, and that'll come in handy for David. So he said, looking back, we recruited him pretty much the way you would be a college player. We made sure he felt comfortable, that he saw what young and vibrant community Denver was. In other words, we gave him women, I think that means.
They were all young and vibrant.
Everybody young, vibrant. Tits are very vibrant, aren't they? It was yuppie before yuppie was a word, and David liked that. Obviously, he liked it a lot as things turned out. Denver was into the drug culture, partying. We really didn't know the extent of it at the time. I was ignorant about drugs as anybody could be, but we exposed David to all of that. So,
you guys never heard of the Rocky Mountain High?
I guess not. I guess he thought that was... Sir. I think he thought that was weed. Different kind of high. So Denver in the ABA this year. By the way, look at their goddamn logo. Here, let me turn the monitor to you. Look at that.
That was the Nuggets logo?
That was a logo.
It's like the lottery guy.
Yeah, he's got a pickaxe.
Is that a red beard?
A red prospector beard.
Yeah.
But he's also got basketball shorts and socks on, and he's holding a basketball, which is
that a jersey or overalls?
I don't know what his top is, but either way, they're short. He's got I think there's a ball hanging out here. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So 75-76 Denver. They're coached by Larry Brown, by the way, who is
that right?
Still around, yeah.
When he was 19?
He was young. He was a good coach. They go 60-24 that year. They go to the playoffs. They beat the Kentucky Colonels 4-3 in a 7-game series, and then lose to the Dr. J-led Nets after that in the ABA Finals, which there's no shame in that. But during his first year, he starts to find something that sometimes he gets tired, Jimmy. That's the thing. There's a lot of times, all the playing, all the flying, the things you have to do because promotional
basketball takes
things.
a lot out of you. Yeah.
It's a lot of running. So he said during the ABA playoffs in his first season, they were playing against the Nets, and he and a couple of other players went back to their hotel back in Long Island there, and he said long season, whole time like that. It's, longer than any college season. It's almost 3 times as long as the college season, so it makes sense. He said, quote, I said to another player, I'm mentally and physically tired. He said to me, I've got just the thing. I mean,
you want to not feel like that?
I want to feel a lot, but which I will say this for cocaine, you won't feel mentally or physically tired after you do it. That's one thing you won't feel. So if that's all you're going for, then I guess it works. That's why people do drugs, because they work.
Yeah.
And then after a long time, they don't work anymore. That's the problem. They don't do the same thing for you.
They do work. It just takes a lot more to do it. And sometimes your body can't handle that much.
That's the problem. That's the problem. People that can do drugs in moderation are the luckiest people in the world.
Best people on earth.
I mean, that's a great skill to have.
Yeah.
It's like people can say, people are like, I only smoke when I drink. And you're like, I will punch you in the throat. I only smoke when I drink.
That's not a real
Fucking
person, right?
Asshole. Yeah, you're an asshole.
That person doesn't exist.
Ugh.
That's just what they tell their spouse.
Yeah.
And why do you always smell like cigarettes?
I know people like that. They could just pick up some cigarettes and smoke half a pack one night and then not smoke for months and months and then smoke. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I know people that'll, buy a pack of cigarettes for a night and then they'll go out and, hang out and party and smoke cigarettes, and then they'll throw them out at the end of the night or give them to somebody or something, not smoke again for months. And I'm like, how do you do that?
I would buy a pack of cigarettes to go out partying, and then by 10 p.m., I need another pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, the more you're drinking, the more you're smoking. So anyway, I've got just the thing. Quote, he poured out a couple of lines of white powder. I tried it, and I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sniffed a line, and I liked it, was his song that he's like, I didn't feel tired anymore. No, you didn't. That powder was cocaine. Yes, it was, sir. We had a hunch. I had a sneaking suspicion that powder was cocaine.
White powder? You were up all night? That's cocaine.
Yeah, I think it was cocaine. You weren't tired anymore.
Yeah.
By 78, he was using every day, he said, but he didn't think it was dangerous. A teammate of his says, quote, I remember the first time he admitted to me that he was doing cocaine. It was probably 1978. He said, it's no big deal. He said he would not get hooked. I said, don't let it get out of hand, which in the 70s, they were still, the line on coke was, to no pun intended, the line on coke was that it wasn't addictive. Yeah. In 1975, everyone was like, oh, this stuff's not addictive. Everybody said that. I think they said it because it was so expensive that it didn't matter. You couldn't do enough of it to get addicted. Like, it was
Even if you got your tax return and did enough to get addicted, you don't have a tax return tomorrow, so it's going to be fine.
Exactly. That's the point. Like, it's impossible. Like, you can only sell your house once, and then that's a weekend of partying. But before they really got a good flow of coke into the country, it was outlandishly expensive if you weren't like a celebrity.
Sell your house.
I mean, to buy a weekend's worth of this shit.
Right.
So it was really expensive, and that's why it was like you can't get hooked on it because shit, no one's going to buy that much.
Who the fuck can afford that much?
Yeah.
Who can afford that habit?
And then the people who could afford it were just probably they thought they were above everything. They're like, you can't get hooked on this, as they do it every day. So he ends up having a great year, though. He is his rookie year. He's an all-star, which is fucking great. He's an all-star, plays in 83 games, 26 points a game.
Holy
rookie
shit,
year.
Rookie. Wow.
I mean, comes right in, does exactly what he did in college. Yeah. No problem whatsoever. Does fantastic. 6.3 rebounds, 3.7 assists a game, 1.6 steals. He's crushing it. He participates in the inaugural slam dunk contest. Okay. This is the one. Yeah, this is the ABA doing this. This is their idea that the NBA took later on because it's very entertaining. Yeah. And so this is Carl Scheer, the guy that signed him. It's his idea. He did a two-handed 360-degree dunk.
Awesome.
In 1975, which
people lost their fucking minds.
They lost their shit. But he said that Dr. J came up after him, though, and this was the Dr. J jump dunking from the foul line dunk that you've seen back in the day.
Yeah.
And he said, quote, Dr. J marked off his steps and took off running. He had the short shorts and the big old afro. He took off running and his afro was blowing in the wind. He dunked from the free throw line and everybody went crazy. Yeah. I came in second that year. So, I mean... He did
dunked from the free throw line, but his afro went from the 3-point line.
It was pretty amazing. Yeah, it was three-pointer from the fro. So when you lose to an iconic moment like that, like a moment that people are going to see over and over again for 100 years, that's like, fuck, I couldn't have beat that.
Yeah.
But he's also Rookie of the Year that year.
Gives a shit then.
Yep, he's an all-star. He said, quote, I started using, talking about Coke, at the end of my ABA rookie year, and then in the NBA in 76-77. I was a little skeptical and didn't know much about it. At that point, there was a lot of social usage at parties and things like that. Yeah. That's how people used to do it. They'd be drinking, oh, yeah, do some of this. You can drink more. Cool. And Coke was out in the open in the 70s. Right. Nobody was going into rooms and hiding and doing it. That's when they're addicted to it. You do that. When it's party, that's how you can tell if you're addicted to. I'm not even fucking around about this, by the way. That's how you can tell if you're addicted to a drug, is if you party with it, like with other people out in the open. You're not addicted to it. If you go into a smaller room with just you, that's called addicted to it. If you feel shame
when you do it, you're addicted to it.
Yeah. No, that's the truth, though. Like I said, I remember my friends when they started smoking crack in high school. The first time I saw them smoking crack, they were doing it out in the open in the basement going, you guys want some? Like, it was like, hey, this is fun. And then 3 days later, they had put sheets up in a fucking 4x4 box in the corner of the basement that they were smoking crack in. And they were like, I will be out in a minute. And we were like, what the fuck happened? That's partying and hooked on it. And, you know, it's the difference.
That's the difference between a party and a problem.
And there you go. How can you tell between a party and a problem? Are you inside of a 4x4 sheeted off box in the basement? Right. That's a problem. It's not a party. No one does that. No one goes in there to party.
No.
Not cool. So he says, quote, I never used it when I played. Most of it was after games and social settings. A lot of girls involved. Different types of people who have things not conductive to your career. Or not conducive, I'm sorry.
Okay. I think he means conducive.
I literally have my mouse my mouse pointer next to that.
Oh, it's over it? It makes a little T.
Well, I thought the I was a T based on the mouse thing as I'm glancing up at it, and it's an old newspaper. But being young, you have a lot of money, you're easily influenced. When you have the opportunity to spend the night with one of the most beautiful girls in the world and indulge in something that at the time you didn't feel was a major risk, then no one looked upon cocaine as being a serious addicting type drug. It was just looking on it as an elite drug, one that was socially acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, they thought you were cool back then. Right. Like, that meant you were like, oh shit, he's got money because it's very expensive.
Right.
Yeah, the best people have it. Yeah. If the only people that are doing it are super rich people, then it must be great. They know what to do.
It's Joe Camel with a cigarette in his mouth and a female camel sitting next to him.
Yeah.
That's the coolest guy on earth.
A large-titted female camel next to him.
Her humps are on the front.
No shit. He did say, that's great. He did say later on, though, that he looks back on it and realizes what a fucking mark he looked like to everybody, basically. Sure. He said, people who sell contact guys who are able to buy. And we, the players, were young guys with a pocket full of money. Yeah,
true.
Clearly. Then he also says, quote, I had a chance to be one of the greatest players in the history of the game, and I blew it. So that's where this is going. Some foreshadowing here. 76-77, Denver moves to the NBA. That's the merger there. The whole in perpetuity thing with the Pacers and all that kind of shit.
Beautiful.
So 76-77, they go 50-32. They lose in the playoffs to the Portland Trailblazers that year. which is, I think Bill Walton was on that team. Okay. And he is, they're just loving him, though. He's crushing it. He's a guard now. He was playing like a small forward in college and shit. They move him to guard, though. He plays in 82 games. He is averaging 25.9 points a game.
Unbelievable.
26 even last year, so that's no production drop-off. 4 rebounds, 4 assists, so down a little bit in rebounds, but up in assists because he's a guard, so he's not in the that makes sense. He's not down there as much. And still, though, 1.4 steals also, so crushing it. He's an all-star. He's one of the biggest stars in the league. I mean, there's Dr. J, there's a couple guys that are whatever, but I mean, it doesn't get any greater than him. Sure. So they decide they're going to sign him to an extension because at the end of the year, his contract's up. They don't want him to be a free agent. So they sign him to what is announced at the time as a 5-year, $5.5 million contract.
He's going to make $1 million a year.
Which is, at the time, the biggest contract in all of basketball. Awesome. He is the highest paid player in all of basketball.
Awesome.
So, which is crazy. With inflation, that's $22 million to show you how still low the scale was. Because now that would be $100 million, $120 million. But
on 5 years,
$5.5 million is worth $22 million today. So. Okay. There's that, but still, for the time, though, athletes, the money wasn't the same as it is now. There wasn't giant TV deals and all that kind of shit, so it didn't exist the same. So it turns out, though, it was a little less than that. $4 million over 5 years, which was still the highest contract of any basketball player that ever received in the history of basketball. So
Dr. J wasn't even getting that.
Nope, not even Dr. J. He was the highest paid player going. So 77-78, shiny new contract. They go 48-34, the Nuggets. They go to the playoffs and beat the Bucks in a 7-game series and then lose to Seattle in a 6-game in 6. So he, though, doesn't matter because April 9th, 1978, he has one of the best nights in the history of basketball. Oh. They're playing the Pistons, and he scores 73 points in a game.
What?
73 points in a game. The only people to score more than that, still to this day, are Kobe Bryant once and Wilt Chamberlain. That's it.
Michael Jordan never scored that?
Never scored 73 in a game.
He got 70, right?
Never. I think 60. I remember 63. I remember that, but not
He never
70.
got in the 70s, huh?
You can't in the triangle offense, you're not going to score 70-something points. Okay. Even you had to really hog it to get 50 in the triangle. You know what I mean? It was a different game. But
Jordan got 50 so many times.
Oh, a shitload. I'm not saying he couldn't. Jordan, if he was playing a more free-flowing game, could have scored. I'm sure he could have scored as many as he wanted to.
Only people score more. Kobe Bryant and Wilt Chamberlain.
Yes. Huge game. It's basically he was going for the scoring title with George Gervin that year. Iceman George Gervin. Right. It was awesome. And it was the final game of the season, and his coach told him basically try to win it. Try to win the scoring title. Go out and fire it the fuck up. It doesn't matter. You know, we're setting our spot in the playoffs anyway. Just do whatever. And the team was like, yeah, fuck that. So he threw up 38 shots, which that's a normal amount for some guys. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
he just buried them all.
Kobe used to have 38 shots a lot.
In the first
half. You know
half.
What I mean? Yeah, all the time. But he happened to hit 28 of them.
Holy shit.
He went 28 of 38 and went to the line. He was 17 of 20 from the free throw line.
Wow.
And 28 of 38 from the floor. So he is, by the way, this is pre-3-pointers. So
no shit.
And you're
this
scoring
is all twos and free throws.
Yep. He ended up matching Gervin's average, but then in the end, they ended up both having 27.2 points per game.
Wow.
But Gervin had more total points, so he won. Okay. That's how it worked. So that was the tiebreaker. But in the history of basketball, Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 in 1962. Kobe scored 81 in 2006. Wilt scored 78 in 1961, and then David Thompson 73 in this game. That's the top four games in the history of basketball.
Unbelievable.
This guy is a bad motherfucker. I mean, he's awesome. There's no other way to say it.
How many of those shots would have been threes? You know what I mean?
Who knows?
He could have put up 90 that night.
Yeah. I don't know if he was just dunking on people or what, but I mean, And people will say, some people listen to Crime and Sports will say like, oh man, that one was kind of heavy on sports. One like this, you have to tell, we couldn't just say he was pretty good. We have to tell you exactly how the point of status that this man was before it all fell apart. Otherwise, the story, who cares?
Yeah, the promise that he possessed, and the hope, and really everything on the horizon. He's the at this point he's the second best player really to ever play in the NBA.
It's insane. It's wild, and you can't
in terms of scoring.
Yeah, the reason why OJ killing Nicole Simpson's so interesting is because of of who OJ was. That's why it's interesting. Yeah. People kill their wives all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's fine. It sucks, but it happens. But OJ doing it's like fucking Nordberg for real. Right. You have to tell the story to me.
Hall of Fame running back. That guy.
Yeah, the fall from grace. Yeah, Hall of Fame running back Nordberg. Okay, Hertz commercial jumping over shit. Sure. So 27.2 points a game, like we said that year. He's an all-star. Fantastic. He's just awesome. 78-79. They go 47-35. They lose in the first round of the playoffs to the Lakers that year. And he is, they're talking about him and his whole thing. By the way, the scoring title, he said, quote, this is what Thompson said about George Gervin, quote, he should have let me have that one because he has 3 others. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Give me some charity, George.
Come on, George. So 78-79, 24 points a game, which is fine. That's terrific. He's never had less than 24 points a game in 4 years. Pretty goddamn exciting, I would say. He's crushing it. He's in the All-Star team this year again, and he's MVP of the All-Star game in the NBA as well. Can't beat that. 79 comes along, early 79. He and his wife, Kathy, who've gotten married recently, they have a daughter named Erica now. So 79, he's got a shitload of money. He's MVP of the All-Star game. Back in North Carolina, he's doing charity. He's giving money. He donated money from his contract to build a new church in Boiling Springs where his father was the deacon at. He rebuilt his father's church, or built a church for his father to be there. He also gave some money to his high school, and they named a street in his honor. They renamed a street for him.
At this point, James, if you do any amount of coke, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's good. You know why? Yeah. Grace. That's why. He's standing on a mountaintop, hands on his hips with a cape flowing in the breeze behind him, going, I'm the king. And
that mountain, James, is cocaine.
Yeah, it's made of cocaine. It's not snow on that mountaintop.
Fantastic. They're naming streets after me, and I use coke. Imagine if I was sober.
Imagine. And not drinking.
Right.
Think about that, though. If you have all that going for you, and it's the 70s, so you haven't seen dozens and dozens of like celebrities' lives destroyed by drugs yet, like that. You know, you saw Jim Morrison died or something, but you know, Elvis. Who the fuck knows what Elvis was taking? I mean, that guy was on everything. So it's not like you could look at that and go, I mean, Elvis. You go, well, I'm not taking handfuls of pills every day. You know, I don't have a barbiturate and alcohol problem.
Right.
So you could never think that a tiny little bag with this little dusty stuff in it how could that little tiny thing take this all down? How is that? Look, this and then me, and
it's just
in my
dust.
glory. It's just
nothing.
It's nothing. But he said that drugs were starting to dominate his life at this point.
Okay.
He said, quote, I lived to use and used to live, which is similar to the Harley thing, but it's a little bit different.
Ride to live to ride,
yeah.
Work to live to work. There are a lot of different ones. I don't like use to live and live to use. I don't like that at all.
Not good.
No.
This is the year, though, in 79 on a road trip to Portland where he upped the ante a little bit. He goes from sniffing it to, let's try some freebase now.
Oh, boy.
This is bad also. This is another point that is it's a milestone of addiction, of when you start doing a hard drug in another manner of which it was intended.
The vehicle with which you get it inside your body matters tremendously to your addiction.
That's the thing. If you're popping pills, not great at all. If you're breaking them up and snorting them, That's a bigger problem. You've taken it to the next level. Popping them, it's not fast enough for me. I can't take it. Coke.
You're breaking up and snorting them on the back seat of a toilet bowl that's in a fucking bar. Way worse.
Way worse. Yep. It's Coke, heroin, meth, all of it goes powder, smoking, injecting. And those are the 3 levels of oh shit, oh fuck. It's oh shit, oh fuck, and then you're the best, Al. Those are the 3 stages. You're the best, Al, while a creepy bald man sucks your cock for money. Those are your 3 stages of addiction. You got to watch out for those.
And the appearance that goes with each one. You can look at somebody that they say, I'm an addict.
Right.
I can tell you which stage you're in.
Fuck yes. You from where you're sitting right now. You could just slide the pictures in front of you like Tinder and you'll swipe right for stage 3, swipe left for under that. I'm telling you, man, it's fucking terrible. It's bad, really scary shit. It's fucking, that's amazing.
And there's not a billboard in this country that says meth and has like a mugshot on it. Not a billboard in this country that has snorters on it.
No, that's the thing. This is what we should be telling kids. You know what I mean?
Those are either smokers or injectors. Every one of them.
Big time. Yeah, because you go past it, that becomes less and less. So he starts freebasing now at this point, and that's bad stuff. And he said, at that point it was like, oh shit, he started to like it, but then he would get so fucking high because crack is a much more intense high than coke. So he would get, or freebase or whatever if you're cooking it, he would get such an intense high that it caused him to drink even more so he could balance out what he was doing. So he gets super fucked up. He's like, "Oof, I gotta drink a half a bottle of whiskey to come down from this," and then he would be leveled off, and then smoke more crack and drink more booze. And you have to. That self balance is a bad coke and booze balance. That's all the mobsters would do that too, and it was a bad thing to stay up for days.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this white Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
Now the team, Carl Scheer, said he began to hear reports that he might have had a problem, David. He's like, he's got a problem. He remembers that he refused to believe it at first. Couldn't believe it. No, not David. Yeah. He's a nice guy. What are you talking about? He said, quote, but all the characteristics of drug use were there. Classic stuff. Erratic behavior. He became very injury prone, very paranoid, thinking everyone was against him. There were chronic absences from practice. Yeah, you should have probably noticed this.
Right.
I'd confront him. He would look me square in the eye and deny it. There was never a time when he admitted doing drugs, ever. During that time, David hurt me probably as much as any single person. Oh no, this is his wife here. I'm sorry. Okay. That was that guy. This is his wife.
Toughen up, coach.
Yeah, no, that's That's not good. During this time, David hurt me probably as much as any single person. He lied, cheated, all the things that drug abusers do. And yet, through it all, there was something good about him, a sense of character, of goodness and kindness that made him different. So, there you go. People still liked him. He's a hard guy to dislike. A friend of his said, quote, I watched him go from a lovely young guy to an erratic type. This is the same guy who played that guarded him on the clay court. He said his brother Larry was 6'8", and he jumped over his head. He said, I went to Denver in 78, and we played hoops, rode mopeds, swam, played more basketball, and went to the bars. In 79, when I went out there, he was different. Somebody would say, come on, David, and he'd say, I'll be gone for 2 hours, and then he'd be gone for 5. Oh, boy. Coke shit. I think he got in with the wrong people and never got away from them. Maybe jail would help him. I'd like to help him. I'd throw a rope around him if I could. Oh. So, I'm sorry. I'd throw him a rope for him to grab around if I could.
Wowza.
It's an old newspaper. I apologize. I'm like, that sounds bad. I know it's his friend. I think he means to like reel him in.
Right.
Is what he was getting at, not to like.
Doesn't sound good.
No, it sounds good. Maybe if he had some of those rocks from your earlier comment, he could have just done the job with that, not had to worry about it. I don't know.
Hope that wasn't a white guy from North Carolina talking about him.
No.
He needs some help. I'll throw a rope around him.
I'll throw a rope right around his head. No, that wasn't what it was.
Have my kids throw rocks at him.
You know how it goes. 78-9-80, he is in Denver, and it's under Coach Donnie Walsh now, who's still, doing shit. He's still there in Denver. This year, he doesn't make the All-Star team. He only plays in 39 games. He's injured, and he's got coke problems and all that kind of shit. He still scores 21.5 points and 4.5 rebounds a game. So, not terrible still. That's still great numbers. 80-81, the team goes 37-45. He scores 25.5 a game. Somehow not an all-star here. 77 games, 25.5 points a game. Makes no sense. 3 assists, 3.7 rebounds. I don't know why he's not an all-star.
Somebody in the front office hear some rumors?
It's very well. That'll come up in a second. 81-82, Doug Moe is the new coach now. Of the team. Doug Moe, he's around a long time. 46-36. They actually lose in the first round of the playoffs to the Suns that year, who are doing great in real time at this moment in time.
Oh, boy, are they.
Thank fuck. They going to hurt us again? I'm sure they are. Have we ever seen them win a championship? Nope. So, do I have any faith that'll happen? Absolutely not.
I'll tell you what, as soon as they got CP3, I was like, that's a dangerous front court. I'm stunned. They got the number one draft pick. They're doing great, and that team is so talented.
That's terrific. How are they going to hurt us, though? That's the thing. Don't look at it like that. You have to look at it at where's it going to, it's like this story.
Yeah.
He sounded bulletproof, didn't he? You got to go, where's it going to go wrong? And because it is, because it's this show. The Suns are this show.
you know
it's all going to go wrong.
Suns.
Because they're the Suns. It's all going to go wrong because it always fucking does, no matter how great it looks. It's not even if a referee has to step in and change it on himself, it'll happen like it happened in 2006 or whatever. So I can't deal with it anymore. The Suns and the Knicks, anytime they're good, I'm like, yeah, okay. I want to fucking hear it. I've had my heart broken many times.
Oh, you're saying they got Stoudemire and Carmelo, huh? We'll see how this goes.
Yeah. Be a Suns and Knicks fans. That is a heartbreak Eiffel Tower every fucking year. They just get on either side of you and plow you from mouth to ass. Both teams. Fucking bastards.
I'm really impressed with this team, though. They're great,
they're great.
And they're scoring. Booker looks terrific.
Dude, they're crushing it.
I love it.
They're doing fantastic. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I'm not rooting against them. I just want to know when they're going to hurt me. That's all.
That's just a fast front court, James. CP3 and Booker is disgusting how fast that is.
Yeah, they're a badass backcourt. They're nasty. They're fucking... Still, never mind. So... 81-82. He plays in 61 games for Denver, and he scores 14.9 a game. He's got some injury problems this year, even though he plays in 61 games. So not quite the same player this year at all. Now, May of 82, I found an ad, Jimmie, let me turn the monitor toward you.
Oh, look at those.
The Pony is the brand. Pony Kids David Thompson leather basketball shoes.
He got ponies.
Check them out. Look at they're just low top ponies.
Shoe.
You can see in the back though it says David Thompson. You can see the DA in cursive. We need these for the studio. I'm going to try my hardest
for these feet. And look, James, they come in kid sizes. I can fit them.
I'm going to try to hunt down a pair of these fucking things if I can find them.
I wonder if they still make them. No?
No, God, no. They definitely don't still make them. They're they stopped probably in 83 as we'll get into it. They probably stopped by then. I'm going to say about 83. But they're on sale for $19.99 right here, which terrific. So June 15th, 1982. June's a messed up month for him, okay? Yeah. Not a good month. He has a couple of bad months in his life. One here, June of 82, Denver police say that his wife, Kathy, asked them to arrest a drug dealer who was allegedly supplying cocaine to her husband.
Okay.
She called the cops.
Man that's ruining my life.
Yeah, and said, could you arrest this guy? The Denver Post reports the next day that he's been using cocaine because it gets out. And then the 17th, so the 15th she calls the cops. The 16th it becomes public. The 17th Denver trades him to Seattle. I mean, boom, boom. Yeah. He has a tearful press conference where he's crying, saying that it's not true, and he doesn't know why they're kicking him out, and he loves it here, and he says he's not on cocaine. He says the police, the newspapers, and several Denver Nugget officials are all lying about him and the story about his wife. None of it's true. I am good and fine, and it's not true, and I'm not on cocaine, I swear to God. So that's
Do you believe
amazing.
him, James?
I don't think I believe him.
He protests a lot.
Now, this is this is later on, but we'll do it. We'll just say it now and then remember it. I'll bring it up and tell you when it happened in 86 because I put this out of order. But his house is robbed by a drug dealer when he's in rehab later on.
Oh, shit.
Okay, a guy by the name of, I have his name somewhere here. What the hell is his name? Herman Leroy Hudson here burglarizes his house. He's an admitted cocaine dealer, and he needed money for more cocaine, this guy did, for another re-up. So he stole $50,000 worth of personal belongings from his house, from David Thompson's house. This is later on when he doesn't have that to really spare. His wife said he doesn't understand it. He says, why would they steal money from them? Because, quote, Mrs. Thompson says her husband has paid a lot of money to the dealer for drugs and can't understand why he would possibly come to the house and take property. We pay the guy so much.
We're current on our bills.
I mean, we're up to date. So he says that an old teammate of his, Monty Toe from NC State, he says maybe David was just too nice for his own good. Sometimes he just has trouble telling people no. Yeah. So he thinks maybe David let the guy have it. So he ends up being traded to the Sonics for Bill Hanslick and a first-round draft pick later on. And David says, quote, I'm real pleased. It's a great move for me in my career. I'll be with a team that has a real chance to win the title. He says that being traded has been a relief. He says the last few years have been hell for him. He's hated it. He said the first few years in Denver were great, but when we started to lose, that's when the finger pointing and backstabbing began. Yeah. It's been hell since then.
I believe it.
They blamed it all on him, even though when Larry Brown left, that's when it fell apart. So probably blame front office for that. So he said that he's glad to be leaving Denver, and he's very upset about the Denver Post putting his alleged cocaine use out there. He said, quote, that was pretty poor, especially the timing. I'm just not going to let that bother me. So it's just ridiculous. The Sonics management said they hired investigators and looked into all the possible reports of cocaine and said not a speckle of truth to any of it.
Okay.
Nothing. Good investigators they have. Yeah. The guy's freebasing everywhere he goes.
Not a gram of truth.
Not a gram. Not an iota. Not a line. Not a bump of truth in any of this. Not a bump of truth.
Yeah.
They also said the NBA investigation has not found any evidence of drug problems. It's just been hearsay and reports of things 2 or more years ago. We feel he's free and clear of any problems at all. He had a year left on his contract. The Nuggets agreed to pay a portion of it and whatever. They still have to pay $500,000. The Sonics, and the coach says, "Sure, it's a gamble, but you take a chance every time you walk out of the house, right? You take a chance every time you make a draft choice. It's no different from that. I've always been a big David Thompson fan. He will give a big dimension to our ball club. He will be another quality guard to go with Gus Williams, and I think he will enhance Bill Hanslick's play as well." So,
Take a risk every time. Is he using that old? You might get hit by a bus.
I mean, you could get hit by a bus anytime you leave the house.
What is he talking about?
So he says that this will give him a chance to start over. He says he has a renewed confidence. This gives me a little more incentive to go out and play well. I think this will be an ideal situation. I should be able to fit into this ball club. Every platitude you could give of just it's going to be great and it's going to be wonderful. He did keep his house in Denver, but he said that's an economic decision. He said, quote, "The way the economy's going right now, it's really hard to unload big properties and get the true value out of them. So I think I'm just going to hold on to it this year and see what happens, and I'll go from there." So he's still being able to hold on to big properties. Things are going well still for him. He says, "I want to have a good season. It may not be one of my best seasons as far as stats are concerned, but I'm putting more emphasis into winning basketball games now than individual stats. I've been among the league leaders in scoring. I've been an all-league player for most of my career, so I've had those things. What I want now is to be part of a championship." This is what you want.
Chasing a ring?
So what the fuck was wrong then with all? Why is he not scoring as much then?
Right.
Well, he said, quote, "Cocaine."
It's a hell of a drug.
Quote, "It slipped up on me." I've never heard that terminology before. Slipped up on me. Just like it does on a lot of other guys. He said, "When it really started going bad for me was when I started freebasing." Well, yeah, that's, like I said, that's the next level. From that point, it affected my relationship with my wife, with my family, and also my performance on the court. I wasn't taking care of my body. I was staying up late, then going against Magic Johnson or George Gervin on 2 hours of sleep. And they're hard enough to guard when you're fully rested. But when you're on drugs, you don't really take care of your body. You develop vitamin deficiency. You lose weight. You become injury prone. You get sick. That's all fair. You're not sleeping at all. He said,
"Nobody's forcing this on you, David. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, like he's like, "I have to just do, they make me do coke."
Right.
Super weird. He said that the trade made him feel cut off from his friends, even in basketball. And then he said, though, quote, "I'm not that outgoing anyway, so it'll be fine." But this is when his drug use really went through the roof because he was lonely now, too.
Yeah.
He says that he remembers frequently he'd go to a hotel room alone, quote, "and I would use drugs until I got enough." He says he was spending $2,000 a week on his habit.
Holy shit.
$2,000 a week in 82 money. So that's really some hot shit there. That's a lot. So anyway, they said that he said that he's trying to square away his contract. I guess Denver deferred money from him because they didn't have money. Denver ends up being sold to somebody that ends up paying all their debts, but they're in debt to a bunch of players and they're deferring money left and right. So it's not good at the time. 82-83 Seattle, Coach Lenny Wilkens, who I believe is the all-time wins leader. If he's not now, he was at one point.
Lenny Wilkens?
Coaching. Yeah, Lenny Wilkens. Coached Atlanta forever.
From the Hawks.
Yeah, forever. Yeah, he coached Seattle.
He was the all-time winningest?
Yeah, but when he retired, he was, I know.
Wow.
All-time winningest
I'll bet
coach.
Jackson's got more by now.
Maybe. I don't know, though.
He's been in the playoffs so many times, James. That's 20 extra games a year.
But in between those championships, he wasn't coaching for years and years, whereas Lenny's just had a job for 40 years, and he's always coaching and stacking wins.
If you win 30 games in a season for 5 years, that's 150 games that he didn't fucking win.
Exactly. It just adds up. 48-34, they go under Lenny Wilkens. They lose in the first round of the playoffs to the Trailblazers. But it doesn't matter. David feels like he's back a little bit anyway. Feels better. He scores 15.9 a game that year, but he makes the All-Star team again.
Okay.
Even though he's benched right before the All-Star game. They make him a second-string player. Okay. All-Star game that year, if you want to hear some players. Eastern Conference, Isaiah Thomas, Maurice Cheeks, Larry Bird, Julius Erving, Moses Malone. That's the starting five. Jesus.
Holy shit.
On the bench, Bill Lambier, Sidney Moncrief, Robert Parrish, Reggie Theus, Andrew Toney, Buck Williams.
Okay.
The West is Magic Johnson, David Thompson, Alex English, who's a nasty fucking scorer, Maurice Lucas of the Suns, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at center. With the bench here, this is a nasty bench. George Gervin, Artis Gilmore, Jim Paxson, Jack Sikma, Kiki Vanderweer. There's like 6 white guys on this bench. Gus Williams, Jamal Wilkes. May of 1983, he's got 2 daughters now. He has another daughter named Brooke that's born. He's in 82. He says he's neglecting his wife and kids and, all of this type of shit. Finally, in 83, he gave in to his wife's pleading and decided to go to rehab.
Okay.
Yeah. He said, but even though he stopped using coke, he continued to drink for a while. So that didn't work for him, though. He was just drinking. He says a drug is a drug, and he just kept doing everything. So one night here, he enters a drug rehab center, and he'll admit drugs made him tired and hampered his performance and all this type of shit. And he makes his first public appearance when he leaves the rehab center saying, quote, "I feel great, ready to go."
Yeah.
He said that, quote, Seattle now wants to put a drug clause in his contract. Shit like that. And he says, I don't have any problem with drug clauses. As a matter of fact, that would be a lot healthier for me. That would give me some real reinforcement to stop. I'm not going to get paid anymore, and then I can't buy more coke. So he said that drug use has made him like a haunted, a secretive, paranoid person. That's all. He said, quote, well, you know what? Let's give it in their own words to him here. What do you say?
Yeah.
Let's do it in their own words. Let's hear what he has to say. In their own words, quote, "My problem was primarily cocaine. I wasn't a daily user or anything like that. I was more or less a splurge user. I'd go for long periods of time without using any. Then maybe one night or weekend I'd use a lot. I would try to stop completely, but I just didn't have the willpower. I knew I needed outside help. I'd go for long periods of time and be okay, but a crisis would come. I'd get hurt or something, and it would lead back to drug use." No shit.
Yeah.
So there you go. He said that they say you tend to strike back at the ones you are closest to. I took a lot of things out on Kathy. Not physically, but verbally. She was the easiest target. I know she's been through some real bad times, but she hung in there, and I really respect her for that. Gee, thanks. He said, I feel bad about Lenny Wilkins believing in me, then letting him down. I think I've told him that indirectly, but I guess I'll do it formally when I get the chance. He went out on a limb for me, and I'd like to rectify that. He says that he took action here, and he said, quote, I decided that I'd had it with the type of life, living in fear a lot of the time. I wasn't having to hide for fear that someone would find out about my problem. I was even hiding from my teammates. He said that he got released from the center, and he had one slip up since then, and it's been 3 months. He said he was drinking. Quote, I was drinking beer. I didn't think beer was a problem, but what I know now is to be free of anything. As I was taught, one drug can lead to another. If you have an addictive personality, eventually it can become a problem, so why take the chance? Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
He also says, everybody thinks the drug use started when I got the contract, but I didn't start doing a lot of drugs. It didn't become a problem until about 1980. He said that's when he had a foot injury and he was forced to miss some time. That made him do drugs because he was bored. That's a fucking funny thing to do because you're bored. He said, quote, I had a lot of free time with nothing to do. It wasn't a good feeling to not be able to play and contribute. Most of my friends were team members, and it's always been that way. The team was out traveling, and even when I went to practice, I didn't feel like I was part of the team. You feel a lot of isolation and loneliness. When I went to Seattle, I had in mind I was going to stop drugs completely. Most of that last summer and the first part of the season, I had stopped using it. When I started back doing it, I wasn't able to stop. That's what happens with freebasing coke a lot of the times.
It's
you can't
not
stop.
Yeah, it's not a drug that you can just dabble in, man.
You can't pick it up and put it down.
Right.
He said another injury, an arthritic knee, caused him to miss 7 games, and that led to more drugs. And then he cut down mid-season and played well for a little while. And then in April, he went back into drugs again. He said, I was trying to stop completely, but after a game, I used it again. The next morning, I said, that's enough of this. Why can't I live a normal life like the rest of the guys, like the rest of the guys, like most of the world? So that's when he said he needed rehab. So he said rehab helped him. He said, they make you list out all of your fears, and fear of failure was my biggest one. For my background, I had low self-esteem. I judged myself by how well I performed on the basketball court or how people looked at me as a basketball player. You just can't do that. That's why his high school coach said he wanted him to have another interest to, do.
To keep him occupied.
Keep him occupied. He said, at one point, I was real close to God. He said, I've been kind of getting reacquainted with him again. Oh, boy, he's going to find Jesus, Jimmie. We're in deep shit here if he finds religion. I've learned to put things in his hands and let him work them out for you. Oh, no. Jimmie, this is not good.
Let somebody else take responsibility for this shit.
Yep. We just know. Normally it's fine, but we just know in crime and sports how this goes when this happens here. It's not a good thing at all.
Never. No.
So 83-84, they go 42-40. They lose in the first round of the playoffs again. And March 10th, 84, though, in the middle of the season, he has a bit of an issue. Yeah. An issue that would end his career, essentially, here. March 10th, 84, Studio 54 is the place, Jimmie.
Oh, boy.
How do you think that goes?
You needn't say much more.
Yeah, the Sonics played in Jersey, had a couple days off before another game in Philly, which is right there, so they were just hanging out in New York, and they headed over to Studio 54 to hang out, and he said that this is what the Seattle players say. This is Tom Chambers and a couple other guys he goes with, okay? They say about an hour and a half after they got there, David Thompson asked Tom Chambers for directions to the men's room because Tom had just gone, and he said that's up at the top of a flight of stairs. Right. So David left the group, and he heads up the stairs, and they said in basically no time, he was tumbling back down the stairs again.
Okay.
They saw him flying down the stairs. They said that basically a bouncer then jumped on top of him while he was on the ground in a heap on the bottom of the stairs and put him in a full Nelson. Okay. And then the entire group gets involved, and then the bouncers and the players are all arguing and yelling, and they're all told to leave. They said that one of the players said, quote, it was almost like a plan type of deal. The more I think about it, the more I think it was a setup, Tom Chambers said.
Like a pratfall?
No, like they set him up to attack him, like he was being watched and somebody wanted to attack him. They keep saying. Thompson says that he was talking to a woman at about 4:30 in the morning at Studio 54.
Oh,
that's he remembers that. Yeah. He said when a man that he doesn't know, never saw before, came up behind him and shoved him. And then they got in a scuffle, and then he fell down a flight of stairs, and the man jumped on him and landed on his left knee when he landed on him at the bottom of the stairs.
That's not good.
And he says, quote, it was a career-ending injury. I went into a deep depression and back into a lot of drugs.
Oh, I'll bet.
It was a big, giant deal. They basically, everybody's calling it a sucker punch, that the guy sucker punched him. Studio 54 has a different version. They said, quote, that Thompson tried to make a pass at the hat check girl, resulting in some physical contact. Then they said he tried to follow the woman until a club employee, Martin Santiago, intervened. And then he said Thompson grabbed Santiago, ripped his shirt off, and tore a chain off his neck, like Andre the Giant to Hulk Hogan in '87 before WrestleMania 3. He said that only then did Santiago shove Thompson and he went down the stairs. Okay. After Thompson was out of control, grabbing women, throwing bouncers around. You know how it goes.
Tearing shirts and chains. And this is like at 4:30 in the morning and you're in Studio 54, the only conversation that a grown man is having with a grown woman is, are we fucking or doing drugs together?
That's exactly. We fucking are doing drugs. So Thompson here, he says he wasn't fighting, and he says that he was just sucker punched. And Jack Sikma, Seattle center, he says, quote, I didn't see the actual punch, but I guess he was sucker punched. He was on the stairs talking to some people about halfway up the stairs. Someone came up from behind him, hauled off, and cracked him one. David fell to the bottom of the stairs, and by the time we got there, a bouncer was already there grabbing him. Now, the manager says that he made a pass at the hat check girl and all that shit. But then they find out later on that the girl he was talking to, no one saw him do anything or touch her or anything like that. But the guy who punched him and jumped on him, it was his girlfriend, one of the club employees. So
there's something.
He's a big hotshot NBA player who went up and talked to his girlfriend, and he got pissed off and basically fucking jacked him one. So Yeah, in a statement, the manager said that they had asked them to leave, and he said that Thompson said, "I don't have to take this," and was throwing punches at their Studio 54 security and customers. Uh-huh. He was just going nuts, throwing punches at everybody, and he said that one customer was hit in the face by Thompson, and all of the Sonics were thrown out. That was the story. Okay. But whatever the case may be, he said that the teammates said, quote, David was yelling the whole time that he'd been attacked. He was hot and kept yelling, "I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything." He said he wasn't fighting. He was just going to the restroom. Okay. He didn't understand what the fuck was going on. Now, Tom Chambers said that he was complaining, and the club told the players that the guy who pushed Thompson was an employee, and they had to just go on his word. Yeah. They're like, listen, we believe our employee because he's our employee. Tom Chambers says, quote, "It's just not right. David was not out of control. We've been there about an hour, and David was being a perfect gentleman. They said he tried to pinch some girl. I didn't see him do anything." They said it's very unfair to make all kinds of suppositions until we have answers. Okay. So there you go.
That's a fun word.
Yeah, suppositions. He's really getting into it.
Yeah.
Now, David Thompson, when asked about it, he said, quote, he said, "What happened to me in Studio 54 was not my fault." That's what he said. He just got fucking jumped for no reason. What ends up happening, though, is he tears a fuckload of knee ligaments.
Yeah.
Which is not great if you're an aerial basketball player.
Right.
Very bad. And
your whole game requires it.
Yep. Has to have a big giant surgery that fucks his knee up. And he files, though, August 27th of that year, files a $20 million lawsuit against Studio 54.
Really?
For fucking up his basketball career. Ends his season, obviously, and pretty much ends his career. That's pretty much it for him.
All you got to do in claims court is show a loss, man. And if he can show that loss, he's
You could say, I was the highest paid player in basketball. Now the salaries are going up like this. As they go up, I would be making that as well. He says, "After I was first out of the cast, it was real difficult. I thought as soon as they took the cast off, I'd at least be able to walk, but I had to use my crutches, or my legs were like they had polio." So, Jesus, it's not a good injury when you compare it to polio. He says, when I come back, there'll still be room for me to get back to where I was. He says, still, if I'm at 75% efficiency, that's better than a lot of the players in the league. I don't mean that to sound cocky, but that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Well, you better get a jump shot game going on. It's got to be your whole game at this point. He said, "I'm still happy just to be in the league." He said that I feel as good as I have the last 3 years. This is after he's I've been surprised at myself to a certain extent. So he said he's keeping his spirits up. And, there's that. So, anyway, that year he scored 12.6 points a game. He only played 19 games before that happened. And that's it for his career. He never plays another NBA game.
Studio
again.
54 legitimately ruined him.
Ruined his career, yeah. Went from 25.5 down to 12. His career average is 22.7 points per game, which is pretty fucking good still, even with those last few shitty years. So, during the summer, he said that he went to a financial guy, a guy that he knows that owns a shitload of stuff, and he does like $60 to $70 million a year in investment management. So he went to this guy and to sort out his finances, and he said that he was put on a strict budget, him and his wife. And he said, this is the guy that did the financial planner, said that he has to have a financial system. In the first 5 years, he wasn't a wild spender, but he did go through, he had a Rolls Royce and all this sort of shit. And a bunch of investments that didn't return anything, basically gave money to people to, piss away. He also would give money to family and friends who needed extra money and all that sort of shit. And his investments didn't protect him from losing almost the 50% in tax salary that he had too. Yeah. So he owes a shitload of money there. He said, quote, "You would not believe the look on David's face when I told him that I would not handle his affairs unless he participated. He had never done that before. It was almost like force feeding. He was kind of shocked. We called Shea for the past records on David, and David and Shea said he had none. I tell David that I don't want him to become another Joe Louis. Joe Louis owed shitloads of money in taxes and had to fight till he had brain damage very badly to just to make ends meet. There's no easy way to not be like him. He said, I told him there's nothing wrong with with trust, but there has to be a system of checks and balances. David has only a 50-50 chance of confronting and agonizing rather than dodging a question. We have him on a commitment to Denver University in the summer to take some business courses. As a person, he's a quiet, fine man. He just needed to know that there's no unending horizon of money. So, yeah, October of 84. He goes back here to Seattle he's at home in Seattle. His wife, I guess, still lives in the house in Denver because he's up there. He's got a 3,800 square foot condo up in Seattle.
Awesome. Condo.
Pretty nice here. They said he's just sipping a Michelob and watching TV. That's all he's doing. He said it's very frustrating. This is his wife. I'm sorry. It's frustrating because this is David's life, what he loves to do. It's so sad to see him not doing it now. But as far as this being the end of his career, I don't believe it, and neither does he. That's right.
Okay.
He said, I missed the game too much to want to sit out a whole other year. He said, getting hurt on the court and off the court are different. I owe this to myself and to the team. It's easily justifiable for a guy to get hurt on the court. But when it happens like it happened to me, that's different in a lot of people's eyes. Even though it was totally innocent, the connotations are not good. So Seattle re-signs him in February of 85. Okay, he's got an injury, so he's not playing, but they re-signed and put him on the injured reserve list for the end of the year.
Right.
It's basically so they have him for next year. That's how it works here. So problem is he is released August 5th, in the beginning of camp. They release him. I guess he's still not there. So he goes to Indianapolis to try to make the Pacers instead. And Donnie Walsh, who's his old coach, is an executive there now. So one of the guys who played with him in high school said he was here before he tried out with Indianapolis. He went home for a while to work out and shit. He said that that was the last time I saw him. We played ball. He was about 80% of what he used to be, and he didn't have the lateral quickness, but he could still jump. He said to prepare for the upcoming Indianapolis camp, he played one-on-one with Hunt, the guy from the back in the day, whose brother's 6'8", and they'd ride around in his blue Rolls Royce. Thompson's, obviously, not Hunt's. September 19th, 85, he is cut by the Pacers.
Fuck.
So they release him. Now, it gets worse. The day gets worse for him, as if that's possible when you get cut from your job. Right. But it does, because later that night, he's arrested for public intoxication.
Oh, he got hammered.
Yep. He's arrested at 3 a.m. at the Red Garter Lounge. Not good for a guy who's going around saying, oh, he's not on anything and he's clean. Yeah. They said that he became loud and boisterous when employees refused to accept his credit card. I guess they didn't take credit cards, and he was like, what the fuck? At the time, he was trying out for the Pacers. After the arrest, the Pacers told him that they were no longer interested.
Yeah.
Because, that's when they cut him because of this, not he got cut because of that. He's busted there. Donnie Walsh, the general manager, he said that, quote, he could have made it, but he got in an argument in some bar and ended up in jail, and we had to go bail him out. It got in the papers, and that was that. I don't know where he is now. I worry about him all the time. So he got cut after that. So if you go on a job interview, they tell you we'll give you a call Monday, and then you go out that night and you have to call them for bail money, you're not getting that job.
Right.
That's just not happening.
From a place called the Red Garter.
Yeah.
Like a sleazy sounding place. And you got in a fight there?
Because he wouldn't take it. Wow, that's fucking bad shit. So then he's got he's got a warrant to appear in court, and he fails to appear in Indianapolis court as well. So now he's got a warrant for his arrest for Indianapolis there. He also files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy here, citing $2.2 million in debts.
Holy shit.
Not having a good month. No. His former teammate says, quote, Dan Issel, this is, who's coaching still. Right. He says, quote, it's a damn shame. David certainly has had his share of problems, but David is basically a very good person. He says there should have been a retirement press conference, one where they retired his jersey. Instead, they wave him with a bum knee. So bad stuff. You feel bad for him, obviously. Yeah. But there is one thing that can cheer me up from this, and only one thing that can cheer me up from this, Jimmy, and that's the sales that are going on in 1985.
In Indianapolis?
In Indiana, so many sales, Jimmy. Number one, you go down to the electronics store here. Only $29 for an AM/FM Walkman, not even a tape player.
Same price today.
Yeah, same price. $1,499 for a VHS camcorder that weighs more than your car. So
$1,500.
$1,500.
Jesus Christ.
$318 for a VCR. These are not good deals, man. The only thing that is a good deal is a Technics record player is only $99, and those are very expensive now.
Yeah.
So there you go. And if you just want, let's say you don't want to stay home with your new electronic equipment, you want to go out for dinner and a movie. Stop by the MCL Cafeteria, which has many locations throughout the greater Indianapolis area, for fried Nordic sole, only $1.99.
Deal.
For fish.
A little bit of fish tonight.
$1.99. Then afterwards, obviously, you're going to have to go to a movie. Lots of things playing. We have Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, yes.
Back to the Future is out at this time as well. Teen Wolf is out at the same time as Back to the Future. You could do a Michael J. Fox double feature. What do we have here? Certain Fury, which I don't know what the hell that is.
Heard of it.
But sounds like an action movie.
Or a porno.
Volunteers, which is Tom Hanks and John Candy.
Okay.
Good shit there. Gremlins is playing. Summer Rental is playing.
Oh, another John Candy.
Lots of good shit here. Year of the Dragon, Emerald Forest. I don't know what those are. But let's say you're up for something a little more randy than that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Fun.
You can head on down to the Rivoli Theater on 3155 East 10th Street for three different adult X-rated films here.
What theater?
The Rivoli. Sounds like the Revolting.
Way too close to the Revolting Theater.
The Revolting Theater. 9 a.m. till 11 p.m. You can go at 9 a.m. and watch big screen porn. Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Escorted ladies admitted free. I guess unescorted ladies are mostly probably prostitutes.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good place to pick up business. If you got a guy who's all horned up from a movie and you're like, you could jerk off in here, I could blow you. You're going to make a couple of bucks. But escort, so if you bring your wife free of charge, because that class is up the joint. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She's handying you rather than you handying yourself.
Yeah. That's why De Niro took Sybil Shepherd to the porn, probably. He's like, it's escorted ladies are free. Then after that, you can head on down to the Art Theater, The Art, it's called, on Washington, and all new, the hottest in adult entertainment. And they have this picture of this chick, and it says, Shauna, every man's fantasy. Plus, Let's Talk Sex, another one. X-rated videotapes on sale or rental, lowest prices. So, gross. Anyway.
If it's not free, it's not the lowest prices.
It's not the lowest prices at all. So back to David. He says he's learned a lot in support groups. He said they say in support groups, you live to use, you use to live. That's where he got that from. It means when you're using drugs, you have no concern for anything other than obtaining drugs.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
For the clarification on the very obvious statement.
Yeah.
What that means is...
I mean... You know, just a thought.
It's not that deep, Dave. Calm down.
Yeah, relax. We get it. He talks about the NBA policy. I guess anyone who comes forward gets like 2 freebies where you can go to rehab twice. If you go to your team and say, I need help for drugs, they'll give you that before you're banned from the league for a minimum of 2 years on the third one.
Okay.
So he said they're talking about the NFL's a lot different. The NFL's an immediate suspension, but it's a 30-day suspension where he's like, that's not enough time anyway. So if you're going to suspend a guy, you should do it and give them enough time to come back. But 30 days is whatever. So his life is a fucking disaster. Can we just say that? It is bad shit at this point. He's in this fucking condo that I'm sure he's worrying about paying for, sitting up there by himself.
4,000 square feet? That's got to be lonely.
Sparsely decorated. They said he has some big TVs and a couple of couches, and that's pretty much it. And he knows the other thing too. All he knows is basketball. Things are breaking. He can't fix them. You know what I mean? Shit like that. He knows how to change a light bulb, and that's about it. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's especially bad when his plumbing backs up on him. He has no idea what to do, so he calls for help. And who comes to help but Paul Calhoun, shit pipe enthusiast? And he says, How is it you come to arrive here, guy? What the fuck? What the fuck are you? What are you doing? Look at your shit pipes. Oh my! Look at the shit. They're all the way the fuck back here. They're backed up so far. I can't even. It's in your neighbor's yard. I don't even have access.
Flooded, sir.
Your bathroom's flooded. It's leaking down. You got 3 floors. It's leaking down. But I'm concerned about your neighbors. It's all dumping into there. The whole neighborhood's flooded. Your shit pipes are so clogged, they're flooding everything. That's the thing. Everything.
Yeah.
Your wife's house in Denver. She's got shit pipe juice on her floor. That's how bad it is, and that's miles away.
Going from Seattle to Denver.
It's how backed up your shit pipes are, pal. I don't know what I looked in there. There's bags of cocaine. You got a basketball wedged in there. I don't know how you got that in there. You got a pair of ponies in there. I don't know what the fuck's going on with that. The whole thing's a fucking disaster, pal.
Sybil Shepherd and Robert De Niro in here.
They're in there. I found it. Tickets to a porn theater. This is fucking disgusting. Yeah. I got to get out of here. This is beyond my area of expertise. I'll clean your shit pipes. I'll slap your wife, but this is pushing it. I'm sorry. I got to go. Poof, in a poof of shit and PVC is gone. So anyway, the Studio 54 lawsuit is progressing. He says, I was pretty unlucky at Studio 54. I was pushed down a flight of steps, hurt my knee. A guy pushed me for no apparent reason, and I haven't played since. He said, at this point, though, the owners of Studio 54 filed for bankruptcy. The club filed for bankruptcy. And then, quote, the insurance company filed for bankruptcy, too.
What?
Some money has been set aside for anyone who had a claim, but it wouldn't be wise for me to accept that money right now because I'm under Chapter 11 bankruptcy law also. This is when he's robbed, and he's in rehab. He goes to rehab again, and he's robbed while in rehab in early 1986. So $50,000 worth of shit. Talk about kicking a guy when he's down.
What a shitstorm of unfortunate events.
This is
real Lemony Snicket.
Wow. I mean, this is like Grace, and then the other side was just a vertical fucking...
it's just a rock shelf.
Just when you're down like the coyote. Splat the bottom, just poof, and a puff of dust comes up. So at this point, he's back to freebasing. He's out of rehab, back to freebasing. And, I'll just take it from the Mercer Island police report here. They said, quote, the above subject, David Thompson, was arrested for simple assault, domestic violence, after he struck a babysitter in the face and pulled his wife around by her hair.
Holy.
Lost his fucking mind. He was freebasing a lot. Lost his shit. Punched the fucking babysitter, dude.
My God.
Not just his wife, another chick that was in the house. He's like, I'll hit any women within my arm's reach at this point in time. Don't give a fuck. And then he hit his wife and dragged her around the house by her hair, yelling and screaming and threatening her. And you know how the situation goes.
Yep.
So not good, obviously. He said they began to argue, and he said, the babysitter tried to ease the tension, and that's how she got whacked in the face. And then... Wife got it too. He said, quote, when you're on drugs, you lose your ability to control your emotions. It's something I have to live with. It happened.
Is that how it goes?
I think it is. He's charged with assault. It's a simple assault. And the judge in court says, you, sir, may fuck off 4 months in jail, but suspended sentence. Okay. They suspend his sentence, provided that he attend a series of drug counseling sessions. That's what he has to do. So obviously there's that. Clearly, though, he doesn't go to any of these drug counseling sessions.
Why?
Nope. And a couple months later, he is sent to jail for 4 months to do his sentence. He's broke at this point. He has 41 creditors after him, and he owes the IRS more than $800,000.
Oh, no.
Which are not good people to owe $800,000 to.
Nope.
You wish they'd come break your leg.
Yeah.
You wish they'd come break your leg.
Right. They'll make your life hell for the rest of it.
It's not good. Yeah. So after you die even, they'll fucking look for it. Whereas at least the mob, once you die, they figure he's dead.
The IRS wants you to live forever so they can just keep taxing the fuck out of everything.
No shit. So his friends... They say a lot of it is because he's pampered. That's a lot of the problem. That's what his friends say. Look, a lot of the problem is pamperedness. One friend said that he was pampered and he probably just didn't realize what life was about. He says a lot of athletes are like that, but then when they get to be 25 or 30, they suddenly realize that it won't last forever. They figure it out, and I don't think David ever has figured that out yet. Because, by the way, he's not even 30 yet at this point. I'm sorry, he's like 30. He's 32 at this point.
Oh, my God.
He should still be an all-star at 32, and instead he's so far out of the league, it's not even fucking funny. He said that Thompson has a hard time figuring out his place in life or just how to get by in life. And they said part of the problem is maybe that too many people have worried about him for too long. One of his friends, Ken Hutchinson, who's a Seattle player who he used to play with, he said, quote, "The pressure of success got to him, not coke. He never learned how to handle life. We baby athletes so much. You have the parents babying them. I don't know, youngest of 11. I don't think anybody was babying him.
No.
You have the coach. Oh, maybe, though, he might have been the baby, like to his mom. That's a possibility. You have the coaches babying them. You have the media babying them. We help them stay babies, and as soon as they make a mistake, we put them down." Which that's true also. He said that David Thompson's going to have to take responsibility for his own life at some point. He says drugs and alcohol got a stranglehold of him that he couldn't get out of. This is Shear, that guy who signed him in Denver.
Yeah.
Who knows why? He was a kid from a rural community and a stable family. His father was a lay minister. He was from a marvelous home. Didn't have plumbing, but just a marvelous home.
Beautiful place.
Parents were salt of the earth people. That's great and all, but I mean, you do have a certain chip on your shoulder when you shit in a hole, I imagine. He said his personality was very easy and he was anything but manipulative. He had a great confidence on the court. He thought he was Superman, but he had no self-worth or self-esteem off the court. It's a great study for a psychologist. It really is. Yeah, this guy.
Yeah, the worst thing to happen to him was that he was talented and athletic. That's the worst thing to happen to him.
Yeah, because that's what he built everything on. He during the summer, one of his 4 pet golden retrievers died, and he cried.
Yeah.
And a friend of his, who's also a psychologist at the University of Northern Colorado, said, quote, "David is hypersensitive. He suffers inside, and it's a drawback. In this society, you're supposed to bite the bullet, and David did it, rather than share his problems with someone else. Yet I remember one time I was sitting around all day feeling kind of blue. David came over to me and asked, 'Hey, are you okay?' A lot of people gave up on him then, and even those who didn't were discouraged." So he's like, it's been bad. He said Ed Peeler, his high school coach, remembers he wrote David all sorts of letters that never got answered. Friends would never get calls back. He was just, dipping into his own thing here. One of his friends from North Carolina said, quote, "David will be all right if he just comes home to North Carolina. We love him here. He needs to come back to where people care." That's what they said. So in 86, what does he do? Christmas time, 86, moves back home.
Okay.
Goes back home, moves back in with his parents.
Yeah.
In Shelby. So he's right back where he started. No money, no nothing. He took a room, and it's a nicer house. It's not the old house. Yeah. He had a house built for them.
Of course.
Because, so he gets to live in a room there now. Hope he made a room for him. He said that he started to feel better. He said that his father he was pointing out Bible verses that helped him, and they were urging him to look for a job in basketball.
Okay.
So, February of 87, he's talking about his life, and he said he's still fighting, and he's learning about life, and he's been humbled a bit and all this sort of shit. He said, quote, "I'm a Christian. I told him," this is his friend, "I'm a Christian. I told him he needed to make an effort to get involved in the church. I told him that quite often if he prayed for anything, it would be answered. He went to church with me 3 or 4 times, and then nothing happened, and he said, fuck this, I'm not going there anymore."
I just wanted more Coke.
That would have been great. He said that one of his friends said, "I used to see him all the time," and then he just drops out of sight for a while. April of 87, he has to file bankruptcy again here. He owes the IRS $810,461, which is a shitload of money. Yeah. That's a lot here. He owes he also has a $10 million suit against. He's got a $10 million against the studio and another $10 million against the insurance or whatever. And then so he ends up serving his time in jail. Has to go back to jail, we told you, for his wife. He was sentenced to the maximum 180 days in jail. He began serving it in a rehab facility, and then he ended up getting it reduced based on the number of days for good time and all that kind of shit. So he's out pretty soon here. He said that His problems cost him his family and his 2 children. He says, quote, I was on a self-destruction course. It was downhill for a long time. Wow, that's crazy. I was mentally and spiritually at the bottom. The low point was when I went to jail. It was pretty humiliating. Sometimes you think you're above jail. You think it will never happen to you. But I'm lucky I ended up in jail instead of 6 feet under.
Okay.
He is lucky. I mean, he doesn't want you to. It's almost like he starts out with like, you should feel bad for me, but then he goes around to, it is my fault and nobody else did this to me. So it's, but you feel bad for his wife. You feel bad for his kids. I mean, you feel bad for a lot of people, Jimmy. I mean, I even feel bad for him, but not nearly, Jimmy, as bad as I feel for David Thompson, product manager at American Express in Mesa, Arizona. There's a lot of Arizona ones in here. Yeah. David Thompson, senior strategic account manager at ZipRecruiter in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Oh.
David Thompson, book author with multiple publishers in Leonardtown, Maryland. David Thompson, CFO at Applied Biologics LLC.
Okay.
That sounds complicated. David Thompson, Chief Technology Officer at American Express Global Business Travel. Jesus. And finally, David Thompson, Senior Guard at Whitefish Bay in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Oh. He's a 6-foot senior guard.
Stay out of the coke, David.
Stay out of it on the 2020-2021 roster there. So poor guy. June 1988, once he gets out of jail and everything, Jim Valvano, the NC State coach who won another national title and then had cancer and died, as we know, he said that he would love Thompson to work in some regard with the team at NC State. He said that he brings him in to do like a camp with him basically in June and, see how it goes. And Thompson said he was real excited and everything's going well and he loves it. 1988, he is hired by the newly minted Charlotte Hornets.
Really?
As a community relations guy, because in North Carolina, he's a god.
Yeah.
So the guy who hired him is the sheer guy who signed him in Denver, who now works for the Charlotte Hornets. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, the owner of the team said, I told him I wouldn't create a job for him, but I wanted somebody to speak to young people, to encourage them to stay in school and away from drugs. I said, David, if I knew you would never use drugs again, ever, even though I've never heard you speak, I would hire you today. He told me it could be a last chance for him, and he knew that. And he said, Mr. Shin, I won't let you down.
Mr.
He
Shin?
said to the owner, Mr. Shin.
Okay.
It's the guy that owned it here. He said that the owner, the paper says, is a staunch, community-minded man. He believes in his employees wearing white shirts and coats and ties and no nonsense.
Yeah.
He said, quote, I was in Raleigh for 4 years, and that was the same time David led North Carolina State to the national championship. After that, it broke my heart to see him go the way they did. He had like a hold on the people down there. He was a hero.
Yeah.
And this guy was no exception. Even he's a very wealthy man, but he's still huge. He said, when he came to me, I asked him some pretty hard questions about drugs, his family, and his arrest. He said he wanted a chance, and he promised he wouldn't let us down. David can use his bad example stories to help kids in the community. This is not a welfare thing. It will be a situation where David will be very active. So, and the Carl Scheer guy, who's now the Hornets vice president and general manager, he said that he feels bad. I think this is like he feels guilty. He says, quote, I was so naive back then. One of the great problems I had with the league was I had no idea about drugs. David denied what he was doing, and I didn't believe he was on drugs. He was erratic. He was late. He had all the symptoms. He would score 40 one night and miss practice the next night. We didn't know about drugs back then, but now we know about them. So, yeah. They said they know there's no guarantees that he won't relapse and be all fucked up and all that sort of thing. But anyway, he ended up doing this. He said they were talking about his career, and they said at one point with his vertical leap, he could be placed in Michael Jordan's class. Okay. They're talking about that. They said when he played, basketball wasn't as popular as it is in the late 80s, so the contracts weren't as big. And, so he said, quote, I think the biggest turn of events was when I scored 73 points in the final game of the season that year. After that, I could never do anything good enough. Everybody expected me to go out and average 30 a game, something in that area. That's kind of true, though. They expected like that from him all the time.
Yeah, if you can score 73 in a night, why aren't you scoring at least 60 every night?
Yeah,
50.
You should be 50, 60. That should be no problem. He said, though, that he's just happy to be off drugs and to have a job. Right. He said there are only 3 ends to drug abuse: jail, institutions, and death. I hit two of the 3, and I was happy to be spared the 3rd. I'm used to being able to do what I want. In jail, you have no rights, no control. They tell you what to do, and when to do it, and how. I'm kind of claustrophobic, and those small rooms kind of got to me. Yeah, it's jail. That sucks. Jail sucks. Man, there's nothing like being in jail. It's like being a caged animal. So now he says he goes to the Hornets offices, and it's a different experience for him.
Yeah, it's not,
obviously.
It's not a cage there.
No, they keep him still in a tiny cage. It's a very odd thing. You have to stay in the cell. It's a cell office we made.
They tell me how to eat, when to eat, and tell me what to do, how to do it.
You know, I do it. He said, I feel really good about where I am now. I'm fortunate after going through the negatives of the past 5-6 years or so. I'm looking forward to going into the community and helping people who may be suffering from the same problem I have, which is drug addiction. Right now, the problem is widespread, and it's only getting worse and worse. It's pretty evident by the number of professional athletes who've been suspended, by the large number of people within society dying from drug addiction. So he said that what's different from him now is these guys are getting thrown back into the same situations, whereas he needed a totally different group of people, and he needed all that. And he said, now it's different. He said, when I tell my story, I hope it helps them, and it helps me at the same time. So, yeah, there you go. He's doing well. He said, I was overwhelmed. They said that the team said they were overwhelmed by the response David received from the community, people coming up trying to get his autograph and all sorts of shit like that. Sure. They remembered him, a lot of the older people. And the owner said, one thing I do know is the guy's honest. I feel good about it. A lot of things I've done in my career have been based on feeling good about something, and I really feel good about this. So they think he's going to be okay. They said he has a lot of pride. I think that'll help him, and he can do well.
Yeah.
So that's going on. But then in May of '88, there's a charity game in North Carolina that he's supposed to play in, and he just doesn't show up.
I wonder where he is.
Doesn't show up at all. No call, no show.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. He said that they even called him before that and made sure he would play, and they called him that morning and said he would play, and he said absolutely, and then he never showed up. Never gave an explanation. Nothing. His friend who was organizing it and booked him to be there said, I was surprised he didn't show up. I mean, this is his hometown. He lives close by, and people wanted to see him. Jesus Christ. One fan said, we're disappointed that David didn't show up. We followed him for a long time. And another one, they talked to a kid there. They were talking to a bunch of kids. Oh, no, this is one guy said, quote, I vaguely remember him at NC State. I guess he was a great player. That's one of
His legacy's already over.
That's one of the college players. That's a college player from Maryland who was playing in this game. Wow. So I don't even know who the fuck he is. I guess he was a great player. I don't fucking know.
I'm told he's good.
I'm told he was good. I'm told his name was the Skywalker at one point. They talked to some kids, 5 junior high kids that were there. 4 of them had never heard of him, and they didn't know much about him. The one that had heard of him said, quote, I think he's that guy in a rehab center, right? So, yep.
Jesus Christ. Can you imagine doing something so well and so great for, 3-4 years? Everybody knows who you are, and then within fucking 5 years, not a soul knows who you are.
Not a fucking soul. It's like, that's brutal.
Isn't that the guy from rehab?
Dude, that's brutal. You see that all the time, too, with like in wrestling. It's like, that guy's a big star, and then you're like, wow, 5 years later, he was in bad shape, and like, what the fuck, man? Holy shit, save your money, everybody. He said, quote, this is his high school coach. He said, quote, not many people remember him now. Heroes come and go real quick.
They do.
Jesus, that's brutal. October 88, though, he's good now. He's good now.
Yeah.
He said, I'm fine. He said, I'm good. He said, back in the day, quote, that's when I hit bottom. I've had a lot of hours to reflect on where I've been and where I was, and I have nowhere else to go but up.
Yeah.
That's what he says. I couldn't go any lower than I have. He said that his kids are fucked up about it at this point. He's not with his wife anymore. His wife broke up with him after he dragged her around by the house by the hair and punched the babysitter.
Surprise.
He said about the kids, though, quote, they understand their dad was a sick person. It's surprising how much a young mind can understand if it's educated properly. He says that he still talks to his wife, and he said, quote, a lot of things take time to heal. The wounds are really deep. And he said, quote, the younger kids, talking about everybody, not his kids, the younger kids don't know me, so I show some clips of me playing. This is in Charlotte when he talks to the kids.
Yeah.
He said, I get a kick out of them. I didn't like to watch when I was active because I was very critical of my game, but some of the things I did were pretty special. One game in Portland, I went over Bill Walton, hook dunked, and shattered the backboard. Everybody was kind of shocked. The kids grabbed pieces of glass as souvenirs. They rushed onto the court.
That's
they
awesome.
broke a backboard.
Yeah.
He was a bad motherfucker, man. He really was. And then he says, oh, but also there was a shitload of coke.
Right.
So everything is great. There's fluff pieces abound. He works for the Hornets. Everything's good. October 1st of this year, though, he's involved in an early morning incident, as it's called in the paper, in Shelby, North Carolina.
Right.
He tells the Cleveland County sheriff's officers that he'd been hanging out with friends where he became involved in an argument, and someone, he said he didn't know who, approached him from behind and hit him with a stick in the left side of the eye.
Okay.
So he's in an argument where sticks are being used as weapons, first of all. You need to be above this shit at this point. They said there was no indication that drugs were involved, but the Hornets officials were concerned, considering the police report lists the time of incident at 3:15 a.m.
Right.
The guy with the bag.
And the manner of assault is a stick. That is a very druggy kind of weapon.
Yeah, well, he's arguing with people at 3:15 in the morning. Right. That sounds like there's some drugs happening there. I'm not sure, but
at minimum, alcohol. And isn't he not supposed to be doing that either?
Nothing. The owner, Shin, said, quote, it scared me to death. But Thompson said he wasn't doing anything, and there's no evidence he was, and he's committed to recovery. He said, I'm committed to recovery. I don't know what you're talking about.
3:30 in the morning. I'm out.
3:30 in the morning. I'm stronger today, he said. I know what I have to do. This is a start, a foot in the door. It's helping me. Still, I'd like to get more into the basketball end. I'd love to get out there and play. Play? What are you talking about? Yeah. It's over. At least I do a little scouting, maybe some assistant coaching down the road. Let's concentrate on that. Let's not concentrate on playing at this point.
Right.
Finally, in November 88, he wins a court battle with his two former attorneys. There was a $112,142,000 default judgment against him,
right?
And the court ruled that the notice of the legal action was served improperly, and it was his lawyer's fault. So they vacate the judgment against him. So so out of his $2.2 million he owes, he can take $112,142 off of that.
So it's $2 million now.
No, it's $2.1 million and 2.1 and change now. In 89, there's an article that is comparing him to Michael Jordan in terms of his jumping ability. And it's a really funny article. It's this article about jumping and all these people's different theories. It's fucking hilarious.
All these white people?
different people.
Okay.
Wilt Chamberlain said, you'll notice there's a stereotype. You'll notice there's a prototype body for leapers. Strong haunches, thin toward the ankles. They're racehorse thin, like whippets. Jumping wasn't something I taught myself. It wasn't something I was born with. You're either blessed with a certain amount of jumping ability or you're not. That's Wilt Chamberlain, who's a freak of nature in every way, shape, and form. He said that a lot of people did like work. David Thompson worked with his weights and all that sort of shit here. He said that David Thompson saw one of his older brothers could dunk, and that made him kind of want to dunk. They get one guy who says, Jesus Christ, this guy says that I'm 6'4" and I could touch 11.6 in high school, and I'm Jewish. I did that at an all-star camp. I had never done that done 11 feet before, but I did 11.6 out of pride. Competition is of great importance. They say that there's a psychological component to jumping as well. Okay. I don't know about that. He said, then this is a good one here. Quote, the calf Achilles tendon heel structure is paramount in jumping. The belly of the calf muscle in the better jumpers is way up by the knee, and they have stick legs and a long Achilles tendon. A heel bone that sticks way out. The Achilles has to come down and around the heel. That makes for a lever arm effect. The most ignored thing in jumping is upper body strength. You need to lead with the upper body. It carries itself and takes the load off the legs. Michael Jordan has high calves, good quads, great glutes, just a great ass, good shoulders and chest. Quote,
I love the way Mike's legs go all the way up and make an ass out of themselves.
Quote, he's real pretty.
Yeah, he is.
He's real pretty.
Put your cock away, sir.
What a fucking
Finish this
stupid
interview.
article. That's an article in the Los Angeles Times by Scott Ostler. So I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. Anyway, 1991.
He chuckled every fucking keystroke of that quote.
He had to. Either that or he was dead serious about
Yeah.
it. Like, why are these
so
fucking people
pretty.
jumping so high? All of them. Anybody. I don't care. I can't do it. Why can they? I want to know why people jump. You, black guy, Wilt Chamberlain, how high do you jump? You, Jewish guy, how do you jump high? I'm going to figure this out. So, 1991, David reconciles with Kathy. Okay. So they've been separated for 4 years, and she and Brooke and Erica, the two daughters, move from Seattle to Charlotte and reunite the family.
All right.
So there's that. Thompson and his wife will remain happily married as well here. So do very well. Well, I'll just say it now. She ends up dying in 2016.
Oh, no.
After a battle with diabetes and kidney complications.
Damn it.
And they were happily married till then. He says, quote, she was really the true love of my life. Me and my wife got married out in Colorado, had our kids out in Colorado. When we first got out there, we were really just kids. We grew up a lot over the years. We were able to make a good life back in North Carolina. And, he says he has a golden retriever and a black lab, and that's what they have. He says she's getting old, too, but she's active and barks a lot. So he's got that. Yeah. 1996, David and George Gervin are both selected for the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yep, because they count college too and pros. So it's a different thing. As far as college, you take that his college run and his first 5 years in the pros, this guy doesn't get much better than that. So the Iceman and the Skywalker, what a fucking cool, those are some cool nicknames to get inducted there. Oh man, that's beautiful. George Gervin said the only way to deal with the problem is to confront it head on. You've got to take the negative and turn it around to a positive. I think, I'm sorry, this is David talking. I think George and I have both done that. You would hope that someday you would get past it. So he does. Yeah. Thompson says, quote, I don't regret the past. I've learned from the past. You can't do anything about it. I'm happy with my career. I did something that very few people ever did. I had a good career and it could have been better, but it wasn't. That's a good way to look at it.
True. But the difference between him and Gervin is that he's going to go back to a leased apartment, and Gervin's going to go back to a place he doesn't even have a mortgage on. He's got a deed.
Probably has he just owns it.
Right.
He said, I'm still considered one of the top 100 players in the history of basketball. Some people consider me the best player to ever play in the ACC. Well, Jordan played in the ACC, so that's probably not true anymore. I did in college. He was better than Jordan was in college. That's a fact. I did some good things. It could have been better. It doesn't really bother me. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it now. So he's okay with it. He's also inducted into the Colorado Sports Hall of Fame as well that year. So he says in 2007, his kids are doing well, just so everybody knows, because I feel like they felt bad for him, for her, for the kids, both kids. Yeah, they said his daughter was a teacher in a preschool and all that sort of thing, and her youngest daughter was a psychology professor in college. So doing very well. Everybody's very smart. They're all educators. Right. 2009, Michael Jordan is inducted to the Hall of Fame, if we remember, and he made that crazy fucking speech, if we all remember. Yeah. That speech, though, was a crazy speech that he made, and you forget who actually did the inducting of him into it, who brought him up there to introduce him. Everybody gets to pick who they want to introduce them, and you do that. Well, Jordan asked David Thompson to induct him into the Hall of Fame.
How about that?
His fucking idol. He got to do it. So
I hope he gets it. I hope he broke him off a little something for doing that.
Right, something. Threw him a couple hundred or something. I don't know.
At least a pair of shoes.
It's right here. You could sell these if you want. He says, Jordan, during the speech, said, quote, "I was in love with David Thompson, not just for the game of basketball, but in terms of what he represented. We all go through our trials and tribulations, and he did, and I was inspired by him."
Okay.
So he got a huge chunk of that. Can't get enough of David Thompson?
No.
Can't get enough? Well, you can fucking rent him. Rent David Thompson. SportsSpeakers360.com. You can book David Thompson for appearances and speaking engagements. He flies out of North Carolina, I believe. His fee range is $5,000 to $10,000.
Wow.
For David Thompson. So.
And I bet it went up after he got that Hall of Fame induction. Good for him.
That's now. So that's, it is what it is now. Or you could buy his book as well, Skywalker, The Remarkable and Inspiring Story of Legendary Basketball Player David Thompson, by David Thompson.
Is this a guy that we're going to be rooting for now? You know what I mean?
Like yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm rooting for him like crazy.
A Willie Mays Aikens kind of guy. I mean, granted, he doesn't have a championship ring or anything to sell, but
true. No, but if I gave if his wife forgave him and then they were together and happy for 15 years and, he's not freebase and all that, we should root for the guy. Sure. You know what I mean? He was doing well for himself and he turned it around. Yeah, this is what we want out of people.
If he didn't have that moment at Studio 54, his grace moment may have been much later. You know what I mean?
Oh, God.
He could have had a better career and more money and more Coke money.
Yeah. They could have talked about him crossing over Michael Jordan in a finals game or something. I mean, it's that. And then Celebrity Net Worth says that his net worth is $1 million. But we know how reliable that is because recently I was pointed to, they say my net worth is $14 million, which gave me quite the laugh. I went, bah, $14 million. Holy shit. What the fuck am I doing?
That would be incredible.
Wow, I'd be so happy with that. I was like, $14 million. Jesus Christ. That's comically out of range. Like, that's not even close. That's funny as fuck. I was like, whoa, $14 million. Holy shit. Wow, no, you're very wrong. So who knows how they calculate that shit. But either way, that is David Thompson and one hell of a harrowing tale of crazy shit, man. That was just craziness. And
truly
a guy that you wanted to root for. You wanted him to do well. He was like a humble guy and just got caught up in the coke, man. That happened back then. It was a fucking rough time. Seems like now if you get a guy that's got a major coke problem, it's almost like you blame him a lot more for it now because he's seen what coke, you know what I mean? Like, doing coke now is an educated decision. Whereas
it really is.
In 1975, I don't think it was that educated of a decision. People still didn't think it was addictive yet, So who knows? But I know one thing. If you did like that story, there is a way to tell us and the entire world. Apple Podcasts, get on that purple icon and give us 5 stars because it helps drive us up the charts. And for some reason, that means a lot. So please do that. It does help us out a lot. You can follow us on social media as well, at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, and at Small Town Murder on Instagram. You can mostly, and most importantly, I should say, though, Patreon.com/crimeandsports. That is where you're going to get the good stuff. I'm telling you, not only do you get a shout out, you're a producer, so we're going to love you forever, and you're going to get your name mispronounced at the end of the show and everything else. But even in addition to that, you're going to get amazing bonus content. You'll have access to all the bonus content we do for both shows, Small Town Murder and Crime and Sports, and it's because the Small Town Murder ones will be of interest to you as well.
Sure.
This week's that we just put up are amazing. Crime and Sports, it's the Atlanta Gold Club story, which is the quote high-class strip club in Atlanta, where lots of famous people had they were worked over, we'll just say, in an illegal way. Want to know what Bill Gates, Patrick Ewing, and Madonna have in common? Well, you can find out on that show right there. Do it and find out why people in glass houses should not drill glory holes into them. That's another thing. Find out why that is. And then for the Small Town Murder one, which you'll have access to, of course, is the Sons of Sam theory. The Netflix documentary Sons of Sam that has the 4 parts. And the whole theory is based on a man named Maury Terry, who wrote a book called The Ultimate Evil, which is 25 hours long on Audible, and I read the whole fucking thing and then regurgitated to you the most ridiculous parts of this conspiracy possible. And we'll just break down how possible all of this is. And wow, when you want the moral of the story is, when you want something to be true, man, will you fucking work your ass off to make it true. Right. You know? It's just the way the brain works. So you can check all of that out and get your shout out, all with the donation there at patreon.com/crimeinsports. Or if you just want to be a wonderful person that has our undying affection and also get a shout out at the end of the show where Jimmie will mispronounce your name brutally, you can do that as well over at PayPal using our email address, crimeinsports@gmail.com. That said, Jimmie, I need it. It's been a long week. It's a very long week. I need good news. I need good things. Hit me with the names of the most fantastic goddamn people on the face of this earth. Hit me with them, Jimmie.
This week's executive producers are Melissa Turner. Melissa Turner is her name, actually. Joanne Ahern, Brandon Kibler.
First name.
Brandon Kibler got full-time work. Congrats, Brandon. Good for you. And shared the wealth with us. What a darling.
Why, thank you. That was sweet.
Other executives are Marion R. Kahn, Matthew Reed. He's an Italian chef in Boston, and he lost his job. Or he quit his job. I can't tell. He just said former Italian chef.
Jordan I just Bennett, went very Italian on him.
Jordan Bennett, Alexandra Little, Daniel Schreiner, Jill Locan, Luella Bryan, Agape. Look, I'm gonna do my best. Agape Tiama Paolo Latericcioni. Nope, Laterioci.
Fuck yeah.
Jenna Brasanatola Marisolo. That's
God damn. Right. Wow.
But it's a real name, I guess.
Bunch of sounds.
Also, Kirsty Stevens, Amy Bryant, Aaron Basinski, and Leo Fair. Thank you guys for giving as much as it's incredible. I can't thank you enough for what you do. Honestly. Truly. Other producers this week are Corporal Carl Kirshner, Thomas Smith, Aunt Esther, and her lover Grady. Who I don't know what that show is a reference to, but
that's a goddamn. Are you kidding me? It's fucking Sanford and Son.
Oh, is it?
It's Sanford and Son.
I don't know. No, I don't.
Grady was his best friend.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Also, Thomas Hammer, Alexandria Parks, Peyton Meadows, Fawn Leibowitz. She perished in a kiln fire. That's a reference to
That's
Animal
what
House.
Happened, yes. Thank you. I knew
Louis
it was a
De Palma and Jim Ignatowski. I think that's also Animal House.
Those are taxi characters.
Those
are taxi characters.
Oh!
Louis De Palma is Danny DeVito, and Jim Ignatowski is Christopher Lloyd in Taxi. That's who they are.
Son of a bitch. And Ravaj Shmulovich, still have to dig that one up. It's from a movie, too. This guy,
I'm sure.
Gary's the best. There's also Carla Broman, Jennifer Stevens, Dana Stewart, James Martyr. Happy birthday, Totsi. Whoever Totsi is, didn't give a last name. James Martyr. Wow. Where did I go? I already said that. Margaret Cowan. Chelsea at Fresh Baked Goods. That's PH Fresh in Denver. I imagine that is Weed's shop, right? Probably.
Beautiful. Hey.
I imagine. There's also Ron Jeremy's pet snake, Chris Chirico, and happy birthday from Skeeter. Jessica Masseri wants to be on Biggs. Good for you, Biggs. Felicia Reed, Larry Butterfass. That guy is fucking fantastic, P.S. I really like that guy. Stephanie Rogers, Ron Rico. I don't know who Ron Rico is. Who the hell is that? That's a reference to something also. Jess Campanello, Janice Hill, Shelley Roberts in Pew Pew, Texas, over there in Gun Barrel. Thomas DeMello, Stacy Nielsen, and everyone over on Discord. Courtney Fligler, and Tyler Flores, because he's the best husband and dad, James. In case you thought you were in the running, you're wrong.
Damn it.
Jude Kendall, I said that, I think. Wow. No, I didn't. Caleb and Delilah Destin, they got a new puppy named Otis. Adam Dugdale.
Sweet.
Cameron Mitchell. Cameron Mitchell Hall. I think it's Cameron. There's no way that's Cameron, right? It's Cameron, right?
Cameron Mitchell is an actor that was in a bunch of shitty B movies, and it's a joke.
I don't think
that's
who this
the worst.
is.
I hope. No?
Happy birthday,
I doubt it's
Mr.
the guy,
Hall,
but maybe.
Or Mrs.
Thank you.
Know.
Yeah.
The guys at Glendale Customs for all your Cerakote needs. Ashley Vio, Lori Olson, Cynthia Maddox, I think that's Jeanne Hahn, Mary Kate Cantrell, Ethan Bentley, Mitchell Foley, Cody Murtaugh, Noah Fox, Rebecca Trong, Jordan with no last name, Ryan Mezatzia, Ashley Dorian Medwig, Andrew Lamar, Samantha Schlieffenbaum, Zoot Steeples, Megan Fiera. What? Why does it say Ask? No way that's her last name. Ask? Is it Monica? I don't know. Robert Rigel, Wooly with no last name, Matt Caruch, Debbie Jones, Lisa Aris, Nat Freestone, Della Mead, Eric Langdon, Andrea Stanley, Amy Morrison, Debbie Gorsh, Paige Hardy, Zoe Littleberry, Juna, Benjamin Juna. Sarah Hyatt, Francois LaGrange, Cassandra Angle, Amanda with no last name, Lindsay, what is it?
You're a mess.
I'm a dummy. Lindsay Dalrymple, Matthew Johnson, Rudy Marshall, Nick Creech, Tyler Correct. That's not right. I'm sure that's not correct. It's something else. I imagine my phone or my computer did that. Catherine Purves, Ingrid Mo. It's trying to fix my bullshit. Tim Emmel, Draca Publishing, Jenna Wiley, Helen Avalos, Josh Bovey, Virginia Martin, Lorna Bai, Anna Rodriguez, Annalie Mosier, Sean Slayton, Leah Cook, Troy Watt, Amy Hoffman, Justin Witt, Dustin Kissling, Catherine with no last name, and also Sean with no last name, Tammy Madrigal, Matthew Baker, Small Beef, Gray with no last name, Caitlin Butler, Yuki Rocks, LOL, so maybe not, Peter Mulholland, Katie Davis, Seth Nadeau, Sean P., Adeline Shine, Jill Wink, Alice Kosrevi, Eric with no last name, Chelsea Berman, Royal B, Alana, Skull Beard, Jennifer Drum, Janie B, Jamie B, Jamie Ellefson, Colt Dupree, Susan Childers, no relation to the lady in Sling Blade, CW Glassworks, Courtney Arredondo, Paul Pesavento, Ashley Lang, Jenna and Kaylin, no last name for either, Tony Centeno, what is this, Matt Dennett, Keith and Cassie Pearson, Spider Matt, Dale Artis, Hunter Hogue, Randy with no last name, Shailene Falkenberry, Catherine Chase, Jessica Freed, Christian Bewley, Philip Messick, Misty Reynolds, Alex Stowe, Emily Southworth, Rachel Schneider, Alex Kelso, David no last name, Renee Snelling, Amber Young, Scubalicious, Robert Cherry, Richard Shorter, Justin A, Rachel Moore, Joe with no last name, Benjamin Harry, Sharon Durr, the Monster Girls guy, whatever that means. Ronnie Moe, 1015, Rachel Jacobs, Whitney Holt, Kevin Powell, Beth Paget, Allie Pryor, and also Alex Pryor, Elise Batcher, Renee Snook, Matt Glazer, nope, that's John Rayfield, Sarah Sexinski, oh boy. I don't know. Sexiinski? Robert Carroll, Chris. I don't know what it is.
That's a problem.
Crystal with no last name. Robert Carroll, I said that. Denise McIntyre. Jess Campanello, I said that. She donated both ways. Thank you. Jennifer.
Thank you.
Jennifer Nigro. Marshall, I have to say it slow like that and not sound like an asshole.
So it doesn't, yeah.
Right. Marshall Williams. Katie Farish, Mandy Randolph, Cress Musgrove, Melissa De Santiago, John Doe, Julie Gallagher, Jasmina Kaminska, Andrew Kiersey, William Christian, Alejandro Medina, Armand Smits, like Rick, Sarah Nuchterline, David Holt.
Oh, God.
Sarah Jean Marie, Kim Purpura, Holden Fart. You happy about yourself? Are you proud? God damn it! Tony with no last name. Kimberly Crupeau, Edward Montoto, Luke with no last name. Caleb Kenny, Arjun had no last name. Brittany Leone, Brian Karbowski, Elena Robledo, Blair McDonald, Sammy Hall, Chelsea Smith, Dean with no last name. Emmanuel Cunt. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Alexandra Little, Connor Johnson, Sarah LaFleur, Matthew Thurlow, Kara Vaughn, Jennifer Fassler, Kelly Ferraro, Mr. Sparkle, sorry. Kira Laparty.
Mr. Sparkle.
Amity Kamiziak. Jen Hobson, Russ Paxson, Nick Garcia Scafire, Casey Powers, Clark B, Canyon Drake, Chris Rhoda, A Weird Life, Dom Ferrari, Melissa Grimm, Brycelyn Anderson, Mason Hyde, Collie Stevens, Will Kranitz, Ariel Chilcote, Ryan Freed, Desiree Ray, Aaron Phillips, Nick Ligon, Lisa Lee, Caroline Barr, Nate Neuschwander. I think that's a reference to Black Sheep. Chad and Alia, maybe, Shane Evans, Hunter with no last name, Jason Sibley, Tia Churchill, Ash Martell, Mothman with no last name because it's the prophecies, obviously. Jason Alford, Bears Wild, Wayne Kerr, Jeremy Visser, Kevin Shook, Sarah, Sarang Zahave, Chernobyl, what? Maureen Lacey, Raina with no last name, Ryan Burgess, Lai H. Kerr, William Woods, Dave Kanthoff, Sarah Kersey, Susan Carlton, and Brandy Rolls, and obviously all of our patrons. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody, honestly, for every goddamn cent, dollar, thing, whatever you've done.
Jesus.
Effort,
You're
tell
incredible.
people, review everything you guys do, everything that everybody does. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate any effort that you go to.
Yeah.
Even just listening is effort, but to go to anything beyond that, we're blown away by it. So thank you so much for that. And what if people wanted to talk to you and tell you thank you, or really anything? How could they find you, Jimmie?
Yeah, they've been finding me. They've been doing it, and they've been telling me, and I appreciate it. Thank you all so much. Where do they find you?
We do.
Yeah.
You can Google us. You know how to find people. Yeah, you look for the show. You can if you can navigate the internet enough to find our show, you can probably find us. You'll find us if you want to find us. We don't want to force you to find us. You'll find us. So that said, honestly, thank you everybody for everything this week. Hope you enjoyed a crazy ass show like as much as we did, because we really had a good time as always. And we will keep coming back for a while here. We're going to keep coming back live from the Crime and Sports Studios. We will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like Crime and Sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer.
I can really show you how to make some money.
And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.